Chapter 10:17. Didn't you summon me out? Chen Hao frowned and said, agreed to let me finish comprehending this realm. Forget it, since that's the case, send me away. How could I summon you out? I can't control the immortal scripture Holy Land at all. It opens once every 10 years and no one can change it. Besides, since I promised to let you in, I can't go back on my word. The immortal scripture city master was extremely shocked. He didn't even call himself old man. He directly stared at Chen Hao and said, that's strange. I was about to enter the next level. Why was I suddenly sent out? Chen Hao saw that the other party was even more shocked than him. It didn't seem like he was lying to him. Could it be that I sent you out? Could it be that the immortal scripture Holy Land sensed that you were an outsider and didn't allow you to continue comprehending? This? I'm not sure. What a pity. The three great immortal scriptures are incomparably mysterious. There are still more than 3 years left. I can still comprehend a lot. Chen Hao said regretfully. 246th level. The last sentence that appeared in his mind was the Grand Tao outline, but it was only about 2/3 of the Grand Tao outline. How many levels have you comprehended? Hearing Chen Hao's words, the immortal scripture city master's phantom couldn't help but ask. Not many levels. How many levels does the immortal scripture Holy Land have? Chen Hao didn't know anything about the situation in the immortal scripture Holy Land. Li Mubai and the others also had blank memories. I don't know. Yes, no one knows how many levels there are in the immortal scripture city. Because no one can comprehend it thoroughly. How many levels have you comprehended? The immortal scripture city master asked again. He didn't want Li Mubai, an outsider, to comprehend too much. However, he also knew that with Li Mubai's talent and terrifying immortal fate, he would definitely comprehend much more than other people. It's more than 200 levels. What? 200? More than 200 levels? You mean more than 200 words, right? More than 200 words. Chen Hao was slightly stunned. More than that? I'm talking about levels. What a pity, there's at least a third. Plop. Senior. What surprised Chen Hao was that the immortal scripture city lord's shadow actually sat down on the ground and seemed to be staring at him in shock. Don't call me senior. I'll send you off. Before you leave, please accept my kneeling. Bang. What made Chen Hao even more dumbfounded was that the master of the immortal scripture city actually knelt before him with a bang and said, I represent the vast 1,000 realms of Hongmeng. If one day if you come back, please don't make things difficult for the billions of beings here. We are very weak. Oh, right, I understand why you came out. It's because you've finished comprehending, and there is no deeper level for you to comprehend. I know that you should have come out to play. The endless cycle of reincarnation is child's play to you. Chen Hao's eyes widened. Looking at the incoherent controller's phantom, he was frightened by the old man's actions. He was just a Daluo Jinxian. He was not even an ant in front of him, and he was actually kowtowing to him? Senior, you can't do that. Plop. Men had gold under their knees, but Chen Hao still knelt down without hesitation after a brief moment of surprise. Other than that, he really could not think of any other action that could bear the old man's kowtow. Buzz. However, at this moment, a beam of immortal light suddenly lifted Chen Hao up. Chen Hao simply could not resist, nor could he resist. Bang bang bang. Senior, don't kill me. The master of the immortal scripture city knocked his head on the ground 3 times in a row, and the earth shook. While kowtowing, he said, You have not awakened yet, and do not know how strong you are. I'm kneeling to the real you, not the current you. I only hope that, in the future, I can show some respect to the vast 1,000 realms of chaos where you once lived. I have already erased all your imprints in the vast 1,000 realms of chaos. I hope we don't meet. If we really meet, I hope you will be merciful. Senior, what are you talking about? You will understand after you awaken. Goodbye. Buzz. After the phantom of the master of the immortal scripture city finished speaking, he suddenly waved his hand, and a powerful space-time gate appeared in the void. Immediately, Chen Hao felt endless immortal light binding him and sending him directly into it. Am I that scary? Chen Hao smiled bitterly and entered the space-time tunnel. After the master of the immortal scriptures city saw the space-time tunnel disappear, he stood up from the ground with cold sweat. It was like a dream, but he knew that all of this was real. Kneeling, he did not complain at all. There was no pretense. The great world of Xiandi, the ancient legend, is true. To be able to comprehend all three great immortal scriptures. After awakening, won't he be able to? Which of the legends is he? I hope, sigh. Shaking his head, the master of the immortal scripture city did not dare to think about it anymore. Buzz. In the space-time gate where space-time was distorted, Chen Hao felt that several hours had passed. The space-time tunnel suddenly shook violently, and Chen Hao appeared in a new world. In the wilderness, there was sky and earth, but it was hazy. Chaos began to open, and Hong Meng appeared for the first time. The world was filled with rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. In this spiritual energy of heaven and earth, there was an aura that did not exist outside the Hongmeng domain, Hongmeng Qi. Of course, Chen Hao could not sense it at this moment. Hongmeng domain. Is this the Hongmeng domain that every vast thousand domains has? It is indeed different from the vast thousand domains. Chen Hao looked at the surrounding environment, his handsome face shining with a touch of excitement. A new beginning, a new domain. No one could monitor him, and he did not have to worry about any high-level cultivators appearing here. Although those below the level of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could appear here, they were not allowed to enter the vast thousand chaotic domains. Only those who had reached the great perfection of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could enter here. As long as the Supreme Hongmeng stepped in here, they would activate the Star Core Tunnel and be directly transported to the great world of Xiandi, or immediately return to the vast thousand chaotic domains. Phew! I want to enter the Hongmeng domain as soon as possible. It's time to... Chen Hao turned into a stream of light, and his powerful soul perception swept out in an instant, frantically spreading in all directions. A moment later, he appeared on a mountain peak with rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Here it is. Buzz. Chen Hao's glabella bloomed with a bright light, and a naked figure appeared in front of him. The body was covered with mysterious runes, and crystal light shot out in all directions. It also contained the majestic and pure vitality of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. Chapter 10:18. Chen Hao's original body. When he was in the demonic berserk realm, the third anima was born from his subconscious. It had completely fused with the soul of Chen Hao's original body, but because of Li Mubai's identity, the two bodies had yet to fuse. Because of this, even though Chen Hao's soul realm had reached the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, his physical body's essence, energy, and vitality couldn't match the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Therefore, he hadn't been able to trigger even a single minor heavenly punishment. Chen Hao knew that as long as his true self's fleshly body fused with the fleshly body of the third anima, and tempered it to the great circle of the golden immortal of the great circle of the great circle of the golden immortal of the great circle 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 of golden immortal. At that time, his strength would definitely increase tremendously. Similarly, only when both his physical body and soul reached the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could he begin to comprehend Hongmeng Qi. As for the great circle imprint in his mind, Chen Hao couldn't figure out what would happen to a special existence like himself before he obtained it. After all, because of the mysterious spiritual treasure in his mind, he had long possessed a great circle imprint in his mind. Moreover, by now, it wasn't inferior to the great circle imprint of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm cultivators. After Chen Hao's physical body stepped out of the mental space, a terrifying fluctuation suddenly flashed from between the eyebrows of Chen Hao's third-ranked physical body. It directly entered between the eyebrows of Chen Hao's physical body. Then, Chen Hao's physical body suddenly opened its eyes. Explode! Rumble! Following Chen Hao's shout, the third body suddenly exploded in a very small area, turning into a bloody mist containing terrifying energy, vitality, and essence, energy, and vitality. It directly surrounded Xianxia's original body. Chi 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 chi, the fusion had officially begun. The vast Milky Way was dotted with stars. Countless stars formed a myriad of galaxies that crisscrossed with nebulae. It was unknown how many universes existed in the Milky Way. Cultivators, even if they were Tao's severing true immortals, could see the endless stars in the Great Thousand World. However, it was extremely difficult for them to reach the stars, especially after a certain distance of light years. It would be impossible for them to reach the stars even if they exhausted their lifespan. The only way to travel in the starry sky was to tear open the space barrier and enter the chaotic space. In this mysterious, violent, and vast chaotic space, where one could see stars falling at any time and where fragments of stars could be seen everywhere, cultivators could only instinctively sense the Great Thousand World they were in. This was because there was a cultivator's brand there. Other than that, if one wanted to enter the other great wide worlds, it would depend on luck. Being so close yet worlds apart, brushing past each other was the most normal thing. It was also for this reason that the Greater Thousand Worlds, which varied in strength, had a relatively stable space for development. If any cultivator in the chaotic space could easily sense the existence of other Greater Thousand Worlds, then only the strongest Greater Thousand World would be left behind. When powerful cultivators encountered a bottleneck that they could no longer break through in the original Greater World, they would usually choose to connect the endless samsara of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, seal their connection with the imprint of their own greater world, and enter a new greater world. Different greater worlds had different cultivation foundations and could bring samsara travelers a new cultivation system. After awakening, the cultivation systems and magical powers of the 2 greater worlds would collide, broadening the cultivator's vision and state of mind. It was possible to break the shackles and break through the bottleneck. However, only a few dared to do so. This was because even top experts did not know which Greater Thousand Worlds they would end up in after falling into the endless cycle of samsara. They did not even know if they could reach the level they had sealed. In such a situation, it was very likely that they would fall into an endless cycle of samsara and never wake up again. If Xianxia was really in the endless samsara, after the master of the immortal scripture city erased his imprint in the chaotic greater world, it was certain that he could only enter the great world of Xiandi in the Hongmeng domain. However, Xianxia was not. Without the imprint in the chaotic universe, he had the imprint in the ancient chaos universe. As for the earth, the moment he was born, he had connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths and came to the Wuji star in the ancient chaos universe. It was hard to say whether he could leave the imprint on the earth. His thick and majestic blood qi surrounded Xianxia's body and was gradually integrated into every cell of Xianxia's original body. As time passed, the blood qi gradually faded, and the aura released by Xianxia's original body also became stronger and stronger. In this state of unintentional activation, the surging blood qi fluctuations could be sensed from hundreds of millions of miles away. Old man Ji, you also sensed it? Nonsense, what pure blood qi, what powerful vitality. It's very far away, at least 15 million miles. Of course I know. Otherwise, how can I say that such weak fluctuations are strong? Well, do you want to do it or not? I'm a dying man struggling at death's door. With such pure blood qi and vitality, do you think I wouldn't dare to do it? Let's go. All right, let's make it clear, this time it's 50-50. Otherwise, I won't be able to hold on for many years. Without my help, you won't be able to live for long if you meet me. Damn it, fine. The 2 old men, whose life force was dim and were clearly nearing the end of their lifespans, suddenly turned into 2 streaks of light and headed in the direction of the blood qi at an extremely terrifying speed. The primordial domain was filled with existences at the perfection stage of the golden immortal realm. There were many young monstrous geniuses, but most of them were old fellows that had been trapped there for hundreds of thousands of years or even 1,000,000 years. These people were limited by their talent, comprehension, and opportunities. Some could not sense the Hongmeng qi, and some could not obtain the Great World Mark. In short, They were imprisoned in the Daluo Golden Wonderland and could not become supreme in Hongmeng. Moreover, many of these old men were near the end of their lifespans. These old men would do anything to prolong their lives. It was common for people to eat other people, especially young people, to obtain their blood qi and vitality and prolong their own lives. This was one of the biggest reasons why the Hongmeng domain was called a land of death. These old men who had lived for countless years and were imprisoned in the Daluo Golden Wonderland could be said to have raised the strength of the Daluo Golden Wonderland to their limits. They had rich combat experience and powerful combat skills. Such people were like a pack of bloodthirsty wolves in the primordial domain. Many young geniuses had become food on their plates. It was for this reason that the young Daluo Jingxian did not dare to enter unless he had absolute confidence in his own strength. Even if he had reached the Daluo Golden Wonderland, he would not dare to enter. Under normal circumstances, one could only enter after raising their combat strength and combat skills to their limits. These were usually geniuses with powerful combat strength. As for those with weaker combat strength, even if they raised their overall strength to their limits, they would not dare to enter. They would only enter when they were near the end of their lifespans. If they did not succeed, they would become one of these bloodthirsty wolves. Chapter 10:19. What a tempting smell. Why can't I sense it? It's very weak, but very tempting, very tempting. It's at least 50 million miles away from us. Let's go quickly. Otherwise, someone else will beat us to it. Alright. Chi. Several streaks of light shot through the sky. The same thing happened in a radius of a few 100 million miles. At least 10,000 people were waiting in the area where the probability of appearing was the highest, heading toward the source of the ripples. Why isn't he here yet? The distance is wrong. It seems more tempting than we thought. It's already 80 million miles away, but he's still not here. Could it be that a top genius has entered? If that's the case, we have to be careful. Soon, many of the old fellows frowned in astonishment because their judgment of the distance was completely wrong. Moreover, the difference was beyond their limits. How can there be so many top geniuses? He must be moving quickly. However, he's not as fast as us. His aura has become stronger. Chase, increase our speed. What these people didn't know was that Chen Hao hadn't moved a single inch even though he was radiating blood energy and life force. Similarly, they did not know that the bloodthirsty wolves, who were rushing over from all directions, had the same thought, which was that the young cultivator who had just entered was moving at high speed. They did not expect the other party's blood and vitality to be so unbelievably strong. They could not be blamed for this. They could only blame Chen Hao for being too monstrous. Perhaps these fellows deserved to be unlucky. As Chen Hao's two bodies merged, the blood mist became thinner and thinner. The blood and vitality that he emitted also became weaker and weaker. Under such circumstances, the old fellows who were rushing over did not even realize what kind of monstrous existence this was. Not to mention them, even the 9 great monstrous geniuses who could do as they pleased in the Grand Mist domain had to avoid Chen Hao when they saw him. Moreover, that was before Chen Hao's body had merged with his body. But now, there was no need for him to enter the state of madness. Chen Hao could handle it. We've caught up. Don't move. Fuck, why are there so many people? The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Motherfucker, no one actually made the first move? When some people were tens of thousands of miles away from Chen Hao, they were shocked to find that countless auras were rapidly approaching from all directions around Chen Hao. After sensing each other's auras, they all stopped and did not take the initiative to attack. In such a situation, the people who rushed over later did not dare to attack, and the number of old fellows increased. What a young life! This kid is a monstrous genius. If I devour and refine his blood qi, I'll be able to extend my lifespan by at least 100,000 years. Very strong. Unfortunately, there are too many of them. Let's find a few old fellows to work with. Without a fight, I'm afraid it will be difficult to obtain it. What kind of body technique is this brat cultivating? He even released the blood essence and then swallowed it back. Could it be that he has swallowed other cultivators? Who cares? Since we found this brat, We must get him. With a few more groups of people, we will have absolute confidence. Buzz. Just as nearly 10,000 old fellows, who had already lost their humanity in order to survive, began to unite and form several large armies, Chen Hao, who had already sensed the fluctuations of auras around him, did not panic at all. At this time, he still completed the integration of his body in time. Violent power, like a river bursting through a dam, flowed in every cell in his body. If these old fellows had not come, Chen Hao would have released that explosive power violently. However, at this moment, Chen Hao forcefully suppressed it. On the surface, he looked extremely calm as he slowly opened his eyes. With a light flick of his wrist, he stood up. His tall and slender body stood proudly on the mountain peak like a sword. His eyes swept across the pairs of bloodthirsty and greedy eyes. Chen Hao shook his head gently. How can he be so calm? Do we look like good people? Seeing this scene, countless people were puzzled. Boo. Humph, this brat is ours. If any of you dare to interfere, don't blame us for hunting you to death. Suddenly, an old man with the strongest aura in a group of hundreds of people suddenly said sternly. As soon as he finished speaking, the hundreds of old fellows suddenly released their terrifying auras all at once. Pa, what a joke! Why are you so determined? Do you think we are weak? Boom, boom, boom. A similarly strong army made a provocative sound at this time. This is a man-eat-man world. Suddenly, Chen Hao's indifferent voice sounded. His voice was not loud, but it completely covered the voices of all the old men. It was clearly transmitted into the ears of everyone within hundreds of thousands of miles. Everyone was shocked. Although they felt that Chen Hao's aura was extremely powerful, they had too many people, and all of them were bloodthirsty old fellows who had been on the battlefield for a long time. They had no choice. If they were not bloodthirsty, it meant that they would die. In the face of death, the most ferocious root of human nature was exposed. Survival was their only goal, and for this goal, they would pay any price. However, they did not expect this extraordinarily handsome young man, who did not show the slightest trace of fear, to display power and profundity far beyond their imagination. If you don't want to be eaten, the only way is to eat people. Voila, well said. In just 2 short sentences, countless old men deeply agreed. This was almost the law of survival in the Hongmeng domain. Chen Hao swept his gaze across the crowd as he continued, unfortunately, not everyone is willing to sacrifice their humanity for the sake of survival. All of you have reached this stage today because of your lack of humanity. Ignorant brat, who do you think you are? Although you are indeed a little strong, you are not qualified to lecture us. When you reach the end of your life and can't make a breakthrough, you will be even more ferocious and bloodthirsty than us. When you are about to reach the end of your life, you should be focused on making a final effort, but you have given up on prolonging your life. Since you have given up on your heart, how can you make a breakthrough? Chen Hao said to himself. His voice contained a vast and majestic Tao sound. Every syllable was like a blooming lotus that floated into the void, shining brightly with celestial light. At this moment, among the nearly 10,000 old men, many of them looked dazed. A rare wisp of clarity appeared in their ferocious and bloodthirsty eyes. If the cultivators of the chaotic Great Thousand Domains, especially the cultivators of the other 9 galaxies, saw Chen Hao now, they would definitely not believe that this was Chen Hao, the god of slaughter who had dominated the primitive secret realm. Chapter 1020. In the face of such existences that wanted to eat him, killing God Chen Hao should have killed them coldly and violently. But today, Chen Hao temporarily suppressed the violent feeling of power brought about by the fusion of his physical body. No one knew what kind of change Chen Hao had. It originated from Chen Nan, his younger brother. The death of his loved one made him understand that even in the cruel world of cultivation, life should be cherished. Of course, this did not mean that he had lost his decisiveness to kill, nor did it mean that he would repay evil with kindness. At this moment, if Chen Hao encountered the enemy that killed Chen Nan, he would kill them all even if they were the heavenly king. He would pierce through the sky and smash through the earth. If he encountered an existence that truly threatened the lives of his family and friends, he would also kill them all. But these old men who had lost their humanity in order to survive posed no threat to him. If he could enlighten them, there would be no need to kill them. Life was precious. Even ants would struggle to survive, let alone these existences who had reached the perfection stage in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. My heart has already given up. How can I break through? Many old men murmured as a trace of clarity appeared in their eyes. Dao sound. Kill him. Kill him. Don't be confused. This kid is very strong. Let's attack together. Boom. Suddenly, the two old men leading the two strongest legions simultaneously launched powerful and terrifying attacks at Chen Hao from afar. Seeing the two old men taking the lead to attack, several others immediately followed suit and attacked. Boom. Boom, we can't let them snatch it away. Kill. The balance was broken. The greedy, crazy, and completely devoid of humanity cultivators finally erupted. In an instant, countless destructive attacks enveloped Chen Hao in the center from all directions. Some attacked him forcefully, some attacked him from a distance, and some attacked the old men of the other legions. It was a chaotic scene. However, in this riot, there was an extremely small number of elders who remained unmoved. They still muttered Chen Hao's words, and their eyes became clearer and clearer. Then, they suddenly realized something, as if they had woken up from a nightmare. In order to survive for countless years, they had devoid of humanity and lived a life of cannibalism. This caused them to sink into deep self-blame. Was there really any meaning in living like this? Incorrigible. That. Bang. Rumble. Chi. Chen Hao, who stood tall, seemed to have expected such an outcome since long ago, and his calm and aloof expression became fierce to the extreme. He suddenly took a step forward, and the mountain beneath him was directly obliterated. There wasn't the slightest fluctuation of divine ability laws or true essence in his surroundings, and there was only surging blood chi that tore through the sky with a hiss. Bang. Ah. Bang 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 bang. Ah. With the release of pure physical strength, Chen Hao was like a lion that had charged into a flock of sheep. He had become a true god of death. Every punch and every kick was like a sharp fong. No one could escape from his pure physical strength. He didn't even use true essence or supernatural powers. This was the simplest, most brutal, and most direct attack. Chen Hao's surging blood energy was like refined steel. No matter how many terrifying attacks landed on his body, he didn't even blink. He was completely unmoved. His body seemed to have transformed into a human-shaped immortal soldier, invincible and indestructible. The terrifying power brought about by the fusion of the physical body was unleashed unscrupulously at this moment. The elders who had been awakened by Chen Hao's Dao voice all widened their eyes in horror. They couldn't believe their eyes. When the fierce wind swept past them, they were so scared that their hair stood on end. When they thought they were going to die, they found that Chen Hao had just swept past them. Condense. Buzz. In a moment, the space of Azura hell was created. Countless cultivators who had rushed up to snatch and kill Chen Hao were scared out of their wits. When they were about to escape, Chen Hao roared and shot out a rune that resounded through the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, a majestic pressure and endless immortal light bloomed from between his eyebrows and sealed the area within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. Before Chen Hao set up the seal, less than 1,000 people in the bloodthirsty wolf pack were able to escape. The cultivators who were sealed were basically destined to become sacrifices for Chen Hao's trial after the fusion of the physical body. Whoosh 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 whoosh. However, at this moment, countless cultivators who were scared out of their wits suddenly discovered that the energy of heaven and earth above the young monstrous cultivator who was charging back and forth without being able to withstand a single blow from him was suddenly gathering in a frenzy. A terrifying wave of energy of heaven and earth also spread out in all directions at an astonishing speed. Whoosh! In an instant, wild winds wreaked havoc. The thick energy of heaven and earth transformed into rolling dark clouds. The area within a radius of 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles, 10 million miles. It spread out in all directions at an incredible speed. Everything became pitch black, as if the end of the world had arrived. Divine punishment. After the fusion of the physical body, Chen Hao's spiritual energy and spiritual aura were released without restraint. His minor stage divine punishment had finally appeared in the Hongmeng domain. Bam! Rumble! The terrifying turbulence of heaven and earth directly destroyed the seal that Chen Hao had formed himself. Monster! A top-notch prodigy. Run! At this moment, the elders who were so scared that they almost wet themselves frantically fled in all directions. They seized this rare opportunity to escape. Phew! The killing intent in Chen Hao's heart gradually dissipated as he raised his head to look at the void and let out a long sigh. He did not continue to chase after them. Although there were still many unsalvageable existences who would threaten countless cultivators in the future, that was not Chen Hao's problem. This was the law of the jungle in this world. Even if he killed them all, the situation would still develop in the future. No one could change that. If he encountered them, he could just kill them. If they ran away, there was no need for him to waste his energy on these weak existences. It's really fast. I just activated my spiritual energy to form the seal. When Chen Hao used his pure physical strength to kill, he did not trigger the divine punishment. However, when he activated his spiritual energy to form the seal, he did not even release it completely and directly triggered the divine punishment. This made Chen Hao slightly excited. Obviously, after the fusion of the physical body, he did not need to break in at all to enter the great perfection of the spiritual body. Furthermore, he was already at the peak of the great perfection that could not be suppressed. Then come at me more fiercely. Boom. As Chen Hao roared to the sky, his essence, qi, spirit, true yuan, soul power, and blood qi were all released wildly and unscrupulously at this moment. Buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In an instant, the turbulence of heaven and earth became even more intense. Rolling dark clouds covered the void in a radius of tens of millions of miles, and it was still spreading at an alarming speed. If not for the fact that such a terrifying fluctuation did not contain Hongmeng Qi, all the cultivators would have thought that it was the great divine punishment for breaking through to the Hongmeng realm. Chapter 1021. Heavenly Punishment? Heavenly Punishment. Is someone ascending to the Hongmeng supremacy stage? This heavenly punishment is a condensation of the Hongmeng domain's energy. It did not cause any turbulence in the Hongmeng Qi, nor did it connect to the 9 heavens and 10 lands. All the cultivators within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, or even billions of miles, looked toward the source of the turbulence. At first, most of them were filled with envy and jealousy. After all, the appearance of heavenly punishment here meant that someone was about to ascend to the Hongmeng realm. This was something that most ordinary cultivators would not be able to achieve even if they stayed here until they died of old age. How could they not be envious? Of course, for a small number of geniuses, the key to ascending to the Hongmeng realm was whether they were satisfied with the embryonic form of their great worlds. Even someone like Li Mubai could easily ascend to the Hongmeng realm. After all, he was a disciple of the top Hunyuan sect. In a competition like the Immortal Sutra Sacred Land, he was nothing. However, compared to 90% of the cultivators in the cultivation world, he was still much stronger. But soon, most of the cultivators sensed the turbulence caused by heavenly punishment. Although it was powerful, it did not cause any turbulence in the Hongmeng Qi, nor did it connect to the 9 heavens and 10 lands to attract energy from the outside world. Naturally, this could not be the great heavenly punishment of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. But it was precisely because of this that some of the prodigious disciples were even more shocked. How could the heavenly punishment of a minor realm be so powerful? Which prodigious prodigy stepped into the Hongmeng domain before ascending to the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland? Let's go and take a look. Most of them were cultivators who had come in groups. Out of curiosity, they all turned into streams of light and flew towards the source of the heavenly punishment. First, they wanted to see which prodigy could create such a terrifying heavenly punishment of a minor realm. Second, they wanted to use the other party's heavenly punishment to temper themselves. Perhaps under the baptism of the heavenly punishment, they would be able to improve significantly. It was also at this moment that a young woman who was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak suddenly opened her eyes. Hongmeng Qi surged for millions of kilometers around her, and a crystal light pierced through the sky from between her eyebrows. She was clearly a young woman who had condensed the embryonic form of a great world, whose small realm heavenly punishment is so strong. Even senior brother Yin Xian couldn't compare to him back then. Strange, when did such a monster appear in Hongmeng? I've never heard of such a person in the cultivation world. There is one, but he's at the Great Circle realm. It's impossible for him to have a minor realm of heavenly punishment. Moreover, he should also be in the Holy Land of the Immortal Sutra right now. The young woman was extremely beautiful, and her aura was comparable to that of Yin Xian. The woman suddenly produced a dazzling golden symbol, directly crushing it. She was extremely curious, and she believed that her Tao companion was the same. It was also at this moment that Yin Xian, who was absorbing the vast amount of primordial energy in the desolate mountains in the depths of the primordial domain, was suddenly jolted awake. After that, a similar talisman appeared before his eyes, and then it exploded with a bang. This was the top-level communication symbol between Yin Xian and his Tao companion. Each pair was extremely valuable, and they wouldn't be used unless it was a critical moment. For his Tao companion to send a message at this time, there must be danger. How could Yin Xian not be anxious? Someone dares to touch my woman? Damn it. Huh. Yin Xian had just finished cursing when his expressions suddenly became strange. He said, "There's such a powerful monster? Can't be. I've never heard of it." Yin Xian had returned to the chaotic vast thousand world 6 years ago because of Chen Hao. Even though he was in the Immortal Sutra City, he still understood the current situation of the cultivation world in the chaotic vast thousand world. Let's go and take a look. Well, inform them while we're at it. Monstrous geniuses? Humph, they must teach them a lesson. It's definitely a good thing to train such monstrous geniuses. Yin Xian suddenly sent out several terrifying divine senses, which seemed to cut through the void and went in 8 directions. Immediately after, they disappeared in the direction of his Tao companion. Whoosh. The closer they got, the more shocked they were. When they were thousands of miles away and couldn't see, the terrifying pressure of divine punishment had reached the limit of what they could bear. Countless people had no choice but to stop. Even the strongest cultivator could only approach 8 million miles before he found it difficult to move an inch forward and stopped in shock. Who could it be? Even the divine punishment of the top monstrous geniuses in the Chaos Academy can't be so powerful. When did such a monstrous figure appear in the cultivation world? Some of the top geniuses who had just entered the Hongmeng domain were shocked. Whoosh. Not long after, streaks of light flew out with all their might, as if they were carrying a mountain on their backs. These people were the old guys who wanted to eat Chen Hao. Each of them had a strong aura, but at this time, blood was oozing out of their pores. Their flying speed was even slower than that of an ordinary Daluo Jingxi, an early-stage cultivator, and each of them looked like they were about to run out of energy. Is it these old bastards? Boom. When one of the young geniuses who had stopped and didn't dare to move forward saw the old man who had escaped from the source of the heavenly punishment, his eyes flashed with a cold, killing intent. He stretched out his hand and took control of an old man who had almost exhausted all his energy and brought him in front of him. Speak, who is the one who triggered the heavenly punishment? He's a monster. Don't kill me, none of us know who the other party is. You might know. He had been in the Hongmeng domain for hundreds of thousands of years. Although he was not completely ignorant of the outside world, he knew very little. However, these young geniuses were different. They had only been here for a short period of time. As the old man spoke, a faint ray of light shone from between his eyebrows. Instantly, it condensed into the figure of Chen Hao and appeared in front of everyone. Just then, a stream of light flashed by. Facing the terrifying pressure of the heavenly punishment, the figure did not seem to feel anything. It was extremely fast. When it saw the few of them, it stopped abruptly. Its eyes were filled with astonishment as it stared at the illusory figure condensed by the old man. "Seen your sister Shauna? So powerful, she's seen your sister Shauna?" That's right. Shauna was the top female prodigy of the Primal Chaos College 1,000 years ago. She was the target of countless prodigies. However, she was conquered by Xian, the prodigy of the Fire Lotus faction who didn't join any college, when they entered the immortal scripture sacred ground 1,000 years ago. What was more shocking was that they became a true Dao partner, declaring her undying devotion to him. Of course, the two of them wouldn't use the fusion of yin and yang to cultivate now. It was just a way to confirm their status. Shauna suddenly landed beside the few people and nodded slightly at them. Then she looked at the captured old man and said, "Are you sure the person undergoing the minor heavenly punishment looks like this?" Chapter 1022. I'm sure. Evildoer. Our 10,000-strong army was chopped up like vegetables by him with just the strength of his fleshly body. If it wasn't for the eruption of his heavenly punishment, not many of us would have been able to escape. Please let me go. My lifespan is about to run out, and I was forced to do evil. I won't do it again. As he spoke, the old man cleverly condensed what he saw into a light of memory, which floated in front of the few people present. Everyone was directly absorbed into their minds, and immediately, a look of horror appeared on their faces. How could it be him? 6 years ago, Shauna had received careful instructions from Xian that if she met this person, she must not provoke him. At that time, Xian had condensed memories of Li Mubai's appearance and terrifying combat strength and transmitted them to her. Now, the old man's simulated image and transmitted memories. If it wasn't the evildoer Li Mubai, who could it be? But according to Xian, even if he wanted to come, he should have come after the Immortal Sutra's sacred land was over, and definitely not now. More importantly, when he fought with Xian and the others, he was already at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. How could he have triggered the divine punishment? "Seen your sister Shauna. Do you know him? He's so strong, his strength is too terrifying." A disciple asked in shock. Although those old guys were not on the same level as the geniuses of the Chaos Academy, they were still very fearful of them, and under normal circumstances, they would not provoke them. After all, those were people who were about to die. If they were forced into a corner and joined forces to fight with their lives, even they would not be able to resist. But there were about 10,000 of these old guys, but they were defeated by that young man in one move, and he only used his physical strength. This was really too incredible. Yes, you must not provoke him, or the consequences will be unimaginable. "Seen your sister, he is? Disciple of the Hunyuan sect, Li Mubai. However, that was in the past. He is an outsider who was reborn into our chaotic universe through the endless samsara cycle. He was discovered by the master of the immortal scripture city and sent here. This person's innate talent and combat prowess are extremely heaven-defying. Not to mention you, even Xian, Zhou Qinglong, and the others were defeated by him. Now, the controller had erased all the imprints in the chaotic boundless world and forcefully sent him to the Hongmeng domain. Once he was dissatisfied, no one could stop him. You better leave quickly," Xianxia said with a grave expression. However, his heart was filled with doubt. How could there be a minor heavenly punishment at the consummate level? Could it be caused by using a heaven-defying divine ability? However, it didn't seem like it either. When a heaven-defying divine ability was executed, it would at most cause the descent of a single lightning tribulation, and it absolutely shouldn't cause such a great fluctuation. While Xianxia was speculating the reason, the disciples of the Chaos Academy all widened their eyes, shocked by Xianxia's words. Xian, Zhou Qinglong, and the other 9 monsters had been defeated by him. What kind of concept was that? And this fellow was only experiencing a minor heavenly punishment, which meant that when he fought with Xian, Zhou Qinglong, and the others, he wasn't even at the consummate level of the Hongmeng domain. This was really too terrifying. "I beg you, please let me go," Scram. "You've already given up. How can you break through in advance? Think carefully. Yes, yes, Chi. The old man, who had narrowly escaped with his life, immediately ran away with all his might. However, the heavy pressure still made him unable to move quickly. Senior sister, hurry up and leave too. He's experiencing a heavenly punishment and definitely doesn't want anyone to come near him. Yes, senior sister. We'll go then. Chi. The disciples quickly left with shocked expressions on their faces. At this moment, Xianxia stood in place. Although she had the strength to get close to Chen Hao, she didn't take another step forward. Her heart was filled with doubts as she waited for Yin Xian's arrival. Perhaps Yin Xian, who knew Li Mubai better, could guess the reason. Crack. Rumble. The terrifying heavenly punishment suddenly descended from the sky after the heavenly tribulation clouds had formed for a full hour. Chen Hao's eyes shone with a firm and unyielding will. At this moment, his entire aura was completely concealed. If someone could see his actions at this moment, they would definitely be shocked to death. Even if the heavenly punishment was only a minor heavenly punishment, it would be difficult for anyone to withstand it. However, Chen Hao had concealed his aura. It wasn't as simple as simply withstanding it. He was completely exposing his body and soul to the heavenly punishment. Hey, little Nana, why are you waiting here? Come on, let's go and take a look together. Don't be afraid, I'm here to ensure your safety. I'm much stronger than little Xianxian, let's go. A stream of light suddenly descended from above Xianxia and said with a sweet smile, as he looked at Xianxia. Xianxia frowned and said, Zhou Qinglong, can you not be so disgusting? Please show some respect. I'm not interested in sissies. Hey, little Nana, you're hurting my heart again. I'm deeply in love with you, scram. So boring. Little Xianxian is much more fun than you. Goodbye. Zhou Qinglong immediately displayed a terrifying speed again. Under the pressure of the sky, he was not affected at all. He headed towards the source of the heavenly punishment. If it was anyone else, Xianxia would definitely remind them. But she couldn't wait for this guy to be trampled to death. It was really too disgusting. Every time they met, he would tease her, a married woman. That wasn't enough. What was worse was that he even teased Yin Xian. But they couldn't do anything to Zhou Qinglong. Oh my God. When Zhou Qinglong quickly approached and saw the figure under the terrifying heavenly punishment, he instantly stuck out his tongue and widened his eyes in shock. So fierce. What a fierce man. After a full half a minute, Zhou Qinglong finally exclaimed. Under the terrifying heavenly punishment, Chen Hao had already turned into a charred mess of flesh and blood. His appearance couldn't be seen clearly at all. But he still didn't move, no matter how many bolts of lightning struck him. What a strong, strong body. What a strong, strong soul. It seems to be even stronger than that hateful little white. It really does look like it. How can there be such a fierce man? I don't even know about it. Zhou Qinglong's eyes sparkled. He didn't have the slightest fear, only excitement. He muttered to himself, so excited that his butt was shaking here and there. So excited, he was really excited. As the saying goes, the high and lonely like the snow. The current him, even Yin Xian, Xiang Tiange, and the others couldn't satisfy his needs. Such a fierce man was undoubtedly the best training target for him. Although he didn't know how powerful his opponent's divine powers were, with such a terrifying body, soul, and will, he was definitely stronger than Yin Xian and the others. At least in terms of absolute power. Chapter 1023. Zhou Qinglong got closer and closer, and finally entered the area where the lightning was raging. Just like Chen Hao, he let out a perverted, strange cry that sounded like he was doing some kind of exercise. Zhou Qinglong, the top genius of the vast thousand worlds, was the strongest in terms of resistance. Although Chen Hao's heavenly punishment was beyond his imagination, he could withstand it. Furthermore, there were endless heavenly Tao laws that excited him. There was no doubt that this was a good opportunity for him to cultivate and comprehend. Although Zhou Qinglong was curious about when such a genius had appeared in the vast thousand worlds, he did not think of Li Mubai at all. Li Mubai was definitely still in the sacred grounds of the Immortal Sutra, and had already reached the perfected stage. These 2 points were completely negated. Therefore he was fearless. So what if he was strong? Even if he was stronger, he would not be afraid of an undying pervert. Of course, if he knew that this was Chen Hao, who could not possibly appear here, he would probably be scared witless and hide as far as he could. The last battle had already made him understand that Li Mubai was his nemesis, or rather, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree was his nemesis. Nah. More than 10 minutes after Zhou Qinglong entered the heavenly punishment area, Yin Xian also rushed over from the depths of Hongmeng. Announce. Why are you waiting here? The heavenly punishment of this small realm is very strong, and it is extremely useful for us to train. Let's go. Yin Xian's body was shining with a flame-like light, and his cold and disdainful expression actually revealed a rare tenderness the moment he saw Xianxia. He took her hand and said, "Announce, it's him." Him? Li Mubai. He's the Li Mubai that you told me not to provoke. What? Nana, did you make a mistake? Li Mubai is still in the primitive mystic realm, and he has already reached the perfected stage. It is impossible for him to trigger the heavenly punishment. It can't be his. I find it strange too. Xian, look at this. It shouldn't be wrong. Xianxia immediately transmitted the light of memories that the old man had seen to Yin Xian. Immediately, Yin Xian revealed an extremely shocked expression. His brows furrowed as he looked at Xianxia and said, "The appearance is indeed similar, but it can't be Li Mubai." Once the immortal scripture Holy Land opened, after entering, one could only wait until it opened again. Furthermore, Li Mubai's fleshly body was definitely not this strong. It was even more impossible for him, who was in the perfection realm, to trigger the heavenly punishment of a minor realm. Let's go and take a look. Oh, Xianxia had also thought of these 2 points. She was basically sure that it wasn't Li Mubai, but after all, she hadn't seen the real Li Mubai, so she couldn't guarantee that there was anything hidden. Now, since Yin Xian said so, it naturally couldn't be Li Mubai. Chi. Not long after Yin Xian and Xianxia approached the source of the heavenly punishment, Xiang Tiange and the other monstrous geniuses arrived one after another. Each of them sensed the increasing pressure of the heavenly punishment and approached excitedly without any hesitation. Ow! Ouch! Under the terrifying heavenly punishment, Zhou Qinglong moaned to his heart's content. His eyes were closed, and his entire state of mind was immersed in enlightenment. Such a strange cultivation method made Yin Xian, Xianxia, Xiang Tiange, and the others speechless. However, they couldn't help but admire Zhou Qinglong's freakishness in their hearts. Enduring the bombardment of the heavenly punishment like this was definitely not something they could do. However, what surprised them the most was the person who had triggered the heavenly punishment. It was no longer as simple as resisting the heavenly punishment head-on. He had completely restrained himself and allowed the heavenly punishment to strike him. At this moment, he had already turned pitch black, and his fleshly body was covered with terrifying cracks. However, he was still immersed in the terrifying lightning and stood proudly. What a powerful guy! This person's absolute power is probably much stronger than ours. If his divine sense and combat skills are powerful, none of us will be his match. Strange. Apart from Li Mubai, when did such a monster appear in our vast thousand worlds? Li Mubai's strength lies in his divine sense and unique skills. This guy's strength lies in his fleshly body, soul, and absolute power. Don't worry so much. Such a powerful heavenly punishment of a small realm is a rare opportunity for us to train. After this guy goes through the heavenly punishment, we'll find him to spar with. I believe he won't refuse. Okay. Chi. The few of them quickly separated and formed a circle around Chen Hao. Each of them entered the baptism and enlightenment of the heavenly punishment. They're all here? Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others did not know that Chen Hao, who seemed to be completely immersed in the pain and enlightenment of resisting the heavenly punishment, was extremely clear-headed at this moment. A wisp of his divine sense was floating in a radius of thousands of miles without any pressure. Although this was a one-time explosion of the two heavenly punishment at the middle and late stages, Chen Hao could easily enter a state of selflessness after experiencing the direct pain in the sacred ground of the Immortal Sutra. Chen Hao knew the moment Xie Na, Yin Xian, and Zhou Qinglong appeared. It was just that he did not have the time to pay attention to them. Well, since they've determined that I'm not Li Mu Bai, then I don't have to reveal my identity for the time being. After the heavenly punishment, I can use them to test my skills. Chen Hao thought to himself. Most of his divine sense was focused on sensing the heavenly Tao laws contained in the heavenly punishment. It had to be said that the arrival of the 9 lives freak, Xie Na, and the others, who were also very strong, was just like the nearly 10,000 devoid of humanity old fellows from before. For Chen Hao, it was a timely reign. After the fusion of the fleshly body, those old fellows allowed Chen Hao to erupt and test the strength of his fleshly body. Now, the descent of the heavenly punishment of a small realm had attracted the 9 freaks, Xie Na, and 10 other top experts to feed him. It was like a feast prepared especially for Chen Hao. Otherwise, with Chen Hao's current strength, he would not be able to find a single opponent in the Hongmeng domain. That would be truly lonely. As each heavenly punishment was more terrifying than the last, the injuries to Chen Hao's body and soul became more and more serious. However, Chen Hao's powerful divine sense was still at ease. This allowed Chen Hao's divine sense to comprehend the heavenly Tao laws contained in the heavenly punishment to the extreme. Naturally, his efficiency was greatly increased. This was the benefit of having a powerful divine sense. Otherwise, even if Chen Hao could comprehend the heavenly Tao laws, he would not be able to use much of his divine sense to comprehend them. Zhou Qinglong, this monster, he's really a monster. He actually used the same method as me to resist the heavenly punishment. I have to get some benefits from him. Chen Hao thought to himself as he saw that the last heavenly punishment was about to end. Chapter 1024. If it had not been for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, Chen Hao would not have been able to defeat Zhou Qinglong. After all, he would have lost if it had been a draw. He would not have entered the sacred ground of the Immortal Sutra. During that battle, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree had devoured a little bit of Zhou Qinglong's life origin and had improved tremendously. Now, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree's life energy had become even purer, but it was still not as good as Zhou Qinglong's. Under such circumstances, if the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree could devour more, it would definitely evolve again. Chi 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 chi. The last heavenly punishment finally ended after unleashing its strongest attack. The tribulation clouds that shrouded heaven and earth suddenly released a dazzling rainbow immortal light that poured onto Chen Hao's body. The tribulation clouds reciprocated. At this moment, Yin Xian and the others who were more or less injured looked at Chen Hao, who was shrouded in rainbow immortal light. They maintained their combat strength. After all, they had comprehended the heavenly punishment under someone else's heavenly punishment. It would be tragic if they were severely injured and lost their combat strength when the time came. Oh my, that feels so good. Fierce little guy, you're so fierce. When you recover, I'll have a good time with you. Hee. Zhou Qinglong, this evildoer, flashed a bright green light around his body, and his whole body seemed to have completely recovered. He stretched out his fingers and pointed in Chen Hao's direction, and said without any hesitation. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at Chen Hao, who was rapidly recovering from the tribulation clouds. Please don't. If it's a handsome guy, at least don't be too inferior to Little White. Otherwise, I'll feel uncomfortable looking at him. Disgusting. Oh my, little Nana, how can you say that about me? This person might be stronger than Li Mu Bai. Yeah, fierce little guy's body is stronger. When I came, he wasn't seriously injured. He's a little similar to Little White. Yin Xian glared at the coquettish Zhou Qinglong. Suddenly, he activated a few light of memories and floated in front of Zhou Qinglong and the others. He said, "Look, not only do they look alike, they are practically the same person. If I didn't know it was impossible, even I would have thought that he was Li Mu Bai." Isn't this Little White? My mother. Zhou Qinglong's face suddenly turned deathly pale, and he actually soared into the sky. Damn it. Damn freak. Li Mubai is still in the holy land of the Immortal Sutra. He's also at the consummate level. What are you afraid of? Xianxia was a little dumbfounded. Although Yin Xian had told her that Zhou Qinglong had also been defeated by Li Mubai, she didn't expect Zhou Qinglong, who was unkillable and fearless, to be so scared. His deathly pale face was definitely fear from the bottom of his heart. Who's Li Mubai? Chen Hao, who was shrouded in a seven-colored immortal aura, suddenly asked softly. The faint voice was ethereal and gave people a feeling of transcendence. It didn't contain the sound of Tao, but it contained the profoundness of the sound of Tao. Just by hearing this voice, people would feel that this person was definitely an open-minded person who was transcendental and rarely had emotional fluctuations. Because of Zhou Qinglong, everyone's eyes immediately gathered in Chen Hao's direction. Zhou Qinglong, who had already risen into the air, suddenly froze. He turned his head to look into the distance, and his eyes became a little dazed. Then, as if he was intoxicated by some kind of mood, he murmured in his disgusting voice, "So beautiful, such a beautiful voice. I feel my whole body go limp. Who's Li Mubai?" Chen Hao asked again. It was still the same voice, without the slightest change in emotion. When he said this, the dazzling tribulation clouds and immortal light dissipated. Chen Hao stood tall and straight, full of energy, qi, and spirit. His eyes were as bright as stars. His appearance was his original appearance, without the slightest change. However, his face, neck, hands, and all the exposed parts were faintly flickering with runes, as if they were engraved on his body. He had sensed the situation of Xianxia and the others, so he naturally knew that his appearance had been exposed. Moreover, it was not appropriate to disguise his aura, as it would make it easier for the other party to be suspicious. Therefore, he directly appeared in his original physical body after the fusion, and deliberately activated a little bit of rune light that was refined using his physical body as a tool. In this way, these guys would be even less likely to know that he was Li Mubai. Little White, you look like, but you're really not Little White. Fortunately, you're not. Using your physical body as a tool, so powerful, Little Handsome, I told you, Li Mubai is the Little White that people talk about. He looks exactly like you. When Yin Xian saw that Chen Hao was frowning slightly, he pulled Zhou Qinglong away and cupped his fists. Brother, how should I address you? Chen Hao. Is there anyone else who looks like me? And it's not strange. There are billions of lives in the vast thousand worlds. If there are similarities, it's purely a coincidence. Chen Hao smiled and cupped his fists. Not to mention Zhou Qinglong, even Yin Xian, Xiang Tiange and the others were taken aback by his aura. Not to mention Xianxia, who was a woman. This kind of demeanor and aura instantly won the favor of these monsters. Chen Hao, may I know which sect Brother Chen is from? I don't belong to any sect, I'm just a floating duckweed. I'm just a wandering cultivator. All of you are dragons and phoenixes among men. You're the strongest people of the same age that I've ever seen. Since you've entered my Tian Fa, would you be willing to exchange pointers with me? Chen Hao said in an extremely pretentious manner, but he directly stated his purpose, and his eyes became extremely sharp. He had just passed Tian Fa, and the aura around him was perfect, giving him a strong desire to battle. Everyone looked at Chen Hao in shock. A wandering cultivator? For a wandering cultivator to be so monstrous, what kind of concept was that? But no one doubted Chen Hao's words. If this kind of person was in a large sect or academy, he would have long been famous. It was impossible for him to be unknown and unknown. So handsome, I like it so much. Little Hao, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be intimate with you. I'm Zhou Qinglong, you can just call me Little Long Hee. Come, let's go first. As Zhou Qinglong spoke, he lightly waved his orchid fingers, and a bright jade green light appeared between his fingers. This guy actually couldn't wait to start. The moment Chen Hao saw the enchanting and beautiful jade green light appear between the other's fingers, his clear and deep eyes were slightly surprised. A trace of confusion seemed to flash through his eyes, and his mind was affected by it. Hee, you're very strong. I can only prepare first. Come on. Chapter 1025. But at this moment, Chen Hao suddenly closed his eyes and frowned slightly. He said, Zhou Qinglong, I've heard of you. In this world, within the same realm, you're an unkillable monster. You're neither male nor female. You're a sissy. You're so disgusting. Ha! Brother Chen, you're absolutely right. With every word that came out of Chen Hao's mouth, everyone's expression changed. With such an indifferent tone and serious expression, when he talked about being effeminate and disgusting, Wuxia, Xianxia, and the others couldn't help but laugh out loud. You're so annoying. Zhou Qinglong twisted his hips and stamped his feet. He was very shy and said unhappily, So it's true. One of the 9 great evildoers. Could you be Wuxia, Xianxia, and the others? Yes. Very well, in that case, all of you can come at me together. Chen Hao's calm, refined, and otherworldly aura suddenly disappeared and was replaced by boundless battle intent and arrogance. The moment he finished speaking, he was still in the air, his long black hair fluttering in the wind as he looked down at the world. This made the 9 great evildoers' expressions change at the same time. Almost without any suspense, anger grew and spread in their hearts. Soon after, it burned fiercely, and their previous good impression of him disappeared completely in an instant. Which of the 9 great evildoers wasn't a domineering existence in the world? They didn't have any objections to fighting with them one by one. After all, the evildoer called Chen Hao in front of them definitely had such strength. But he actually said arrogant words and asked them to come at him together. This was blatant disdain. How could the evildoers like them tolerate this? Even the sissy Zhou Qinglong's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. Brother Chen, you're indeed very strong, but in this world, no one in the same realm as you is qualified to ask us to come at you together. I, Wuxia, will fight with you first. Boom. Wuxia said coldly. As he spoke, the aura around him suddenly rose crazily. The fire lotus celestial seal between his eyebrows released a terrifying pressure. Really? After today, you won't say that anymore. Chen Hao's disdainful voice echoed throughout the heavens and earth. Suddenly, his body shuddered as he threw out a punch. In an instant, the space was torn apart. The fist turned into 9 fist shadows, containing terrifying pressure and energy. They attacked Wuxia, Zhou Qinglong, and the others at the same time. Only Xianxia, who was slightly weaker, did not make a move. Arrogant. You're courting death. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 people's faces darkened, and they all attacked violently. Even though that was what he said, Chen Hao's punch had indeed displayed a power that shocked them. One punch had 9 daos, and they had to use their full strength to deal with each one. If the 9 daos combined into one, it was indeed not something they could compare to. Rumble. 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 The 9 fist shadows collided with the 9 lives monster's angry attack. Instantly, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The space within a radius of tens of millions of miles shook violently. Xianxia, who was not involved, widened her eyes in horror. She hurriedly gathered her energy and condensed a protective aura around her. Her figure swayed and she retreated into the distance. Even if she joined in a battle of this level, she would not be of much use. It was better to just watch for now. 9 people? Awesome. The collision of energy caused Chen Hao's body and soul to tremble violently. Obviously, it was a little difficult for Chen Hao to fight 9 people at the same time, no matter how abnormal he was. However, this was exactly what he wanted. Any one of the opponents would not be of any use to him. Only if the 9 of them worked together would it work. More importantly, Chen Hao could not fight with Zhou Qinglong first. Once he released the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, his identity would be exposed. At that time, how could the 9 people fight with him? If he wanted to find someone to vent his anger on, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was almost impossible. After finishing his move, Chen Hao suddenly straightened his body and charged toward Yin Xian. What he wanted was the strongest and most dangerous close combat. Only when one of them fell into a dangerous situation would they truly let go of their pride and crazily intercept and fight with him. Otherwise, at this moment, since he had provoked all 9 of them, their pride would not really cooperate. Rumble. Chen Hao was like a meteor. The runes on his body flickered, and the power he condensed on his fist tore the space apart. Everywhere he passed, there was an explosion of qi. Yin Xian was astonished. At this moment, his mind was completely absorbed by Chen Hao's fist. It was as if this fist was the only thing left in this world. The terrifying pressure and the terrifying energy contained within it were beyond his imagination, whether it was the profound mysteries or the absolute power. Xian. Watch out. Little Xian. Chen Hao's crazy and terrifying attack made everyone scream. They were extremely nervous for Yin Xian. Without any hesitation, the other 8 people who still maintained their pride no longer had any scruples. The 9 monstrous geniuses had gone through countless battles. They would face each other's challenge at any time. At the beginning, they might have been enemies, but now, their true relationship had become that of brothers who appreciated each other. Just like when Yin Xian learned that someone had triggered a powerful heavenly punishment, he directly informed Zhou Qinglong and the others because he knew that such a heavenly punishment would be beneficial to them. At this moment, seeing Chen Hao suddenly display such a violent killing move, how could he hold back? Roar! Yin Xian felt a great crisis, but his pride made him have no reason to retreat. At this moment, the red lotus immortal seal between his eyebrows bloomed. His whole body seemed to have turned into a ball of burning immortal lotus. All the energy condensed on his fist and he fiercely punched out. Boom! Boom 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 boom. Chen Hao sensed the violent attacks of the 8 people at the moment of sparks. He suddenly used both his fists and legs in a violent burst. However, the punch that attacked Yin Xian did not weaken, but instead became stronger. Bang! A figure suddenly appeared between Yin Xian and Chen Hao. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. He directly took the place of Yin Xian and bore the brunt of Chen Hao's terrifying attack. Not only that, he also bore the brunt of Yin Xian's double attack. Boom! In the terrifying explosion, Zhou Qinglong's body directly exploded, blocking most of Chen Hao's attack. Yin Xian, on the other hand, spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. Do you want to kill us? I'll kill you. Zhou Qinglong's figure suddenly appeared in another place. Although his voice was still feminine, his eyes were shining with the flames of anger. The dark green light around his body instantly became several times stronger. Come! Xianna's figure quickly flew to Yin Xian's side. She wanted to support Yin Xian, who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, but Yin Xian reached out and blocked her. Yin Xian's eyes were like a crazed beast as he stared directly at Chen Hao. He was injured in one move. If Zhou Qinglong had not blocked it with his special ability, his injuries would have been even more serious. Anger. He didn't contain any killing intent, but he used a killing move to kill him. Chapter 1026. Damn it. Kill. Go all out, don't hold back. Boom, boom, boom. The eyes of the 9 monsters and Xianna all turned red. Even when Chen Hao wanted to challenge the 9 of them alone, they were only angry because he looked down on them. However, when they saw that he wanted to kill Yin Xian, they went completely crazy. It had to be said that the other party was very strong, stronger than any of them. If they still had any scruples, they would probably be killed one by one. Therefore, when the good-tempered Zhou Qinglong released his terrifying killing intent, no one hesitated anymore. This is the effect I want. Chen Hao felt the intense killing intent and terrifying aura released by the 10 of them, and he felt very satisfied. He gathered his strength to the peak, turned into a human weapon, and rushed forward violently. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, a radius of tens of thousands of miles, or even hundreds of thousands of miles, became a purgatory on Earth. Terrifying energy raged, mountains collapsed, the earth caved in, and rivers flowed backward. The 9 monsters and Xianxia's 10 people cooperated with each other to the extreme. Zhou Qinglong, the sissy who couldn't be killed, became a human shield, appearing in front of whoever was in danger. Wuxia, Xianxia, and the others attacked violently. They fought from the ground to the sky, and then from the sky to the ground. The intensity of the fight was beyond Chen Hao's expectations. Minutes and seconds passed, and after a short 10 minutes, Chen Hao and the 10 people were all stained with blood. Only the freakish Zhou Qinglong seemed to be fine. One dead, another newborn. Chen Hao was exhilarated in his heart, and at the same time, he was very impressed by the 10 people's cooperation and the brotherly love they had for their sacrifice. However, he was still merciless. Of course, he didn't need to be merciful. The 10 people were on par with him when they joined forces. With the monster Zhou Qinglong around, Chen Hao didn't have the intention to kill them. Even if he did, it wouldn't be easy to kill any of them. This terrifying battle shocked countless cultivators within a radius of billions of miles. However, after a certain distance, no one dared to approach. The 9 monstrous geniuses and Xianxia, who was not much weaker than the 9 monstrous geniuses, teamed up to fight one person. It was truly shocking. After the great battle had been going on for 6 hours, the attacks from both sides had become much weaker. Moreover, when all of them were injured, Chen Hao hesitated for a moment before suddenly launching a wild attack towards everyone. Immediately, with a swoosh sound, he jumped out of the encirclement and said, "The 9 great monstrous geniuses are indeed extraordinary. I'm impressed. Let's spar again in this place half a year later." After Chen Hao finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and left. Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the rest didn't have the slightest desire to give chase. At this time, they were all bitterly holding on. Even Zhou Qinglong, who seemed to be unscathed, was now deathly pale. Clearly, the self-detonation wasn't as easy as it seemed on the surface. "I'm so tired. I realized that little Hao Hao had no intention of killing any of us. Yes. He's forcing us to fight with all our might. I really didn't expect that. He's so strong that even the 10 of us can't gain any advantage over him. Moreover, if we continue to persevere, any one of us will die." Xianxia said solemnly, his body covered in blood and dirt. "If we persevere to the end, we'll be the ones to die." Although I don't want to admit it, he really has the strength to challenge our combined strength. However, we've endured his heavenly punishment and aren't in peak condition. On the other hand, he has the heavenly punishment feedback. Next time, we can't let him escape so easily. Yinshen said, "I feel so good. Ever since the last time I fought Li Mubai, I haven't had such a satisfying battle. Half a year later. I'm looking forward to it. Stop talking nonsense and cultivate with all your might. We've all gained a lot from the heavenly punishment and the battle this time. I'll go into seclusion for half a year. Goodbye." Xianxia was the first to leave. "Oh my, I'm going too. Half a year later, all of you have to come. So good." Soon after, the 9 great monsters quickly left. The anger and murderous intent from before had disappeared after a few hours of fighting. These people were all smart people. At this moment, how could they not understand the reason behind Chen Hao's provocation and killing intent? What kind of strength did he have? If he fought with any of them alone, they would not feel any pressure at all, and it would not serve as a form of training. Chen Hao flew continuously at his fastest speed for a full hour. When he sensed that there were no cultivators around him, he suddenly disappeared into the void. He used the great teleportation technique and flew toward the depths of the Hongmeng domain at an even faster speed. After flying for another hour, Chen Hao landed on a barren mountain peak. With a wave of his hand, he condensed energy into a palace. So good. This kind of battle is called a form of training. After entering the palace, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and exhaled deeply. Zhou Qinglong, this monster, is really abnormal. Unfortunately, I can't use the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree for the time being. Originally, Chen Hao had planned to release the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree, which was in a restless state in the great world in his mind, after the battle had begun. It would devour some of Zhou Qinglong's pure vitality. However, the strength of the 10 people working together was beyond Chen Hao's expectations. Chen Hao changed his mind. He knew very well that apart from the 9 great monsters, no one else in the Hongmeng domain was a match for him. It was unknown when he would be able to comprehend the Hongmeng Qi and obtain the Great World Mark. However, he was certain that it was not something that could be done in a year or two. Therefore, he did not want to give up on such a good training target for the time being. After all, once he exposed the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, Zhou Qinglong and the others would know his true identity. It would be difficult to continue fighting then. After comprehending the Hongmeng Qi, I'll be able to sense the aura of the Great World Mark. I'll comprehend it first. The effect might be better in the state of madness. Buzz. When Chen Hao released the sealed emotions again, he frowned slightly. This time, it did not work and did not cause him to enter the state of madness again. Although the emotions still made Chen Hao's heart ache, Chen Hao's mind was no longer under his control. Misfortune still exists, and fortune does not exist. There's no such thing as a free lunch in the world. The improvement of my willpower and cultivation base has made my state of mind even more unperturbed. The state of madness has also dissipated. Whoosh! Following Chen Hao's words, the sealed emotions in his mind were immediately unsealed. They naturally spread out and permeated into Chen Hao's mind. 4th update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1027. What kind of mystery is Hongmeng Qi? Chen Hao threw away his sorrowful emotions little by little, his mind gradually calming down, and he began to think. More haste, less speed. It was useless for Chen Hao to rush back. He could only first comprehend Hongmeng Qi. As for the Great World imprint in his mind, whether he needed it or whether it would conflict with the Great World imprint in his mind, and so on, he did not know for the time being. Since the nirvana of his true self had awakened, the only people Chen Hao had come into contact with to teach and answer questions were his 2 chief masters, the 5th elder Duan Ziyu and the elder Tian Wanxiang. But in a short contact, what he learned was very limited. And the strength of Li Mubai, Zhao Giyu, and the others was far from the Hongmeng domain, and they also had no concept of Hongmeng Qi. Let's take a look at the jade scroll that the 5th elder gave me first, Qi. Chen Hao immediately opened the jade slip that the 5th grand elder had given him before they parted. This jade scroll condensed all the knowledge and comprehension that the 5th elder had learned in his life, and there must be records of the Hongmeng domain. Several hours later, Chen Hao slowly opened his eyes. Before the chaos was divided, heaven and earth were in chaos, vast and indistinct, and no one could see. Since the creation of heaven and earth, Hongmeng has been clear and turbid. All living beings look up to benevolence, and all things become good. Hongmeng is chaos, heaven and earth are indistinguishable, yin and yang are indistinguishable, time and space are indistinguishable, muddle-headed, in a trance. Hongmeng Qi, comprehend Hongmeng, divide heaven and earth, distinguish yin and yang, shape time and space. Chen Hao murmured repeatedly, his confused eyes gradually becoming clear. Hongmeng Qi was a non-energy existence, but a kind of mystery that created heaven and earth, raised yin and yang, and divided time and space. It was the law of Tao, the law of heaven. Comprehending the Hongmeng Qi was also comprehending the ability to condense the yin and yang of heaven and earth, as well as the laws of space and time. It was also because of this that only those who had comprehended Hongmeng Qi could sense the Great World imprint and obtain it. From there, they could use this kind of magical power to fuse with the Great World imprint and condense it into the embryonic form of a Great World. Only with these conditions could one trigger divine punishment and step into Hongmeng. Phew! With the most basic understanding, Chen Hao put away his distracting thoughts and immersed his mind into the comprehension. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. At the set time, Chen Hao woke up automatically and rushed to the place where he fought last time. Once again, Chen Hao fought with the 9 monstrous geniuses and Xianxia. This time, Chen Hao returned with his wings broken. He was even weaker than last time. Immersed in comprehending the Hongmeng Qi, He did not make any progress in the past half a year. However, after half a year of hard work, the embryonic form of the macro world in his mind had become even stronger, and his battle strength had also increased by a notch. This caused Chen Hao, who had the upper hand last time, to be tied with his opponent this time. This time, Chen Hao still did not attack Zhou Qinglong. Before he left, he challenged them again, but this time, it was set to be 10 years later. Zhou Qinglong and the others readily agreed. After seeing Chen Hao leave with serious injuries, the 10 people, except for Zhou Qinglong, were all in a good mood, although they were also seriously injured. This time, it was much better than the feeling of being completely suppressed last time, and they were able to fight to their heart's content. Don't be happy too early. Didn't you notice that little Hao Hao didn't use any powerful magical powers when he fought with us twice? I don't think he won't. Of course we noticed. However, he said that he's only a rogue cultivator. It's normal that he doesn't have any powerful magical powers, right? That's impossible. How can he not have a powerful opportunity to have his current strength? If he has an opportunity, how can he not have a powerful magical power? I feel a little uneasy. Little Hao Hao and Little White are almost identical except for the runes on their bodies, and they're both very powerful. If he used Little White's Great Teleportation Technique, Great 5 Elements Technique, Great Change Technique, Great Emotional Manipulation Technique, and Soul Willpower Attack, how powerful would he be? Zhou Qinglong, don't tell me you suspect that he's Li Mubai? I'm not stupid. The Immortal Sutra Holy Land hasn't ended, so he can't be Li Mubai. But I think he's related to Li Mubai. Could he be an outsider who reincarnated into our chaotic universe with Li Mubai? And they're twins? That's impossible, right? Forget it, I'm just feeling uneasy, so I'm just guessing. I keep feeling that he's hiding an even more powerful ability. This time, he'll fight again after 10 years. At that time, with his talent and potential, he might be able to comprehend the Hongmeng Qi. If that's the case, he'll be able to master it and explode with power that's much more powerful than now. In the past 6 months, he's obviously immersed in comprehending the Hongmeng Qi and hasn't made any progress. Zhou Qinglong finally became less uncomfortable when he talked about serious matters. At this moment, the 10 of them suddenly looked at the void. Oh my, there are so many handsome guys and beautiful girls. They must be the new disciples of the Chaos Academy. Zhou Qinglong's eyes shone with excitement, and he rushed forward to welcome them. They don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The ripples from our battle are so terrifying, and these guys still dare to come over? Brother Zhou. Oh my, you know him? Brother Zhou, who in the younger generation of the chaotic universe doesn't know you. I'm Dao Yi from the Chaos Academy, and I'm here to pass a message to Brother Zhou, Brother Yin, Brother Xiang. The leading young disciple's aura was extremely powerful, and even the monstrous genius of the Chaos Academy, Huang Tianhua, couldn't compare to him. However, he was definitely older than Huang Tianhua by quite a bit. He looked a little excited, but he was very calm and polite as he clasped his hands and greeted everyone. After greeting everyone, he looked at Sienna, who had a smile on her face, and said, "Senior Sister Sienna, long time no see, you're here to pass a message to us?" Yin Xian frowned and asked directly. "Yes, Brother Yin. We've already entered the Hongmeng domain 2 months ago, but we couldn't find you. Today, we sensed the terrifying ripples from the battle, so we guessed that it must be you guys." Okay, to put it simply, who asked you to pass a message? What message did you pass? Or did you pass it to us at the same time? The controller of the Immortal Scripture City specially went to the Chaos Academy to explain that Li Mubai had already stepped into the Hongmeng domain half a year ago. What? The words of the disciple called Dao Yi made Zhou Qinglong and the others widen their eyes in shock. Oh my mother! Zhou Qinglong trembled all over. Although there were still many doubts in their hearts, at this time, the 10 of them instantly understood that Chen Hao, who claimed to be a rogue cultivator, was Li Mubai. The funny thing was that he didn't even change his appearance, but they forcibly denied it. Of course, they couldn't be blamed for this. After all, Li Mubai was originally at the Great Perfection Realm, and there was no reason for him to trigger the heavenly punishment of a small realm. Moreover, in the immortal scripture sacred land, there was no reason for him to come out in advance. This kind of ironclad fact made them directly deny it. Chapter 1028. What else did the controller say? The shocked crowd finally understood what was going on. Yin Xian took a deep breath and asked, "Can't be an enemy, everything is up to fate. There's nothing else. Can't be an enemy, everything is up to fate." Everyone pondered over these words. Can't be an enemy. When the 9 great evildoers returned, the controller had specially emphasized this. But now, what did he mean by everything is up to fate? This was a contradiction in itself. Of course, everyone could understand what the controller meant. Under the circumstances of not being an enemy, everything is up to fate. Did that mean there was no need to deliberately avoid them? Zhou Qinglong just said that Shen Hao didn't use any powerful techniques in the 2 battles. Could he have used them in order to hide his identity? But why would he hide his identity? Perhaps he's afraid that we won't spar with him. I'm very curious. How did he trigger the heavenly punishment when he's in the perfected realm? Even stranger, how did he come out of the Immortal Sutra sacred land ahead of time? Perhaps he awakened some ability beyond our understanding in the endless cycle of reincarnation. As for coming out of the Immortal Sutra sacred land ahead of time, do you think the Immortal Sutra sacred land automatically expelled him after sensing that he's an outsider? This seems to be the only possibility. Yes, the Immortal Sutra sacred land is the foundation of the vast thousand chaos world. It contains the supreme laws and profundities of the vast thousand chaos world. Naturally, it has spiritual intelligence. I'm so scared. Little White is Little Hao Hao, and Little Hao Hao is Little White. If he uses the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, I'll die. I won't participate in the battle in 10 years. How can that be? If you don't participate, what will we do? The controller said that everything is up to fate. Then let's wait and see. Besides, didn't he not touch you the last 2 times? With his current absolute power, if he used his powerful divine ability again, do you think we'd be lucky enough to survive if he wanted to kill us or devour you in the last 2 battles? But he didn't do that. Obviously, he has no intention of killing us. But I'm scared. Zhou Qinglong said pitifully. His slightly pale face naturally wasn't an act. He still had lingering fear when he thought of the battle in Immortal Scripture City. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree's desire to swallow him alive was not something he could resist. If it weren't for the controller stopping the match, he would have been finished. Don't worry, I feel that he doesn't have any ill intentions towards us. He's purely using us to train himself. This is a rare opportunity for us to train ourselves. Let's just pretend that we don't know anything and continue on like this. Now, let's focus on cultivating. 10 years is but a blink of an eye. All right. The 9 monsters quickly came to a decision. Chen Hao, who had already left a long time ago, naturally did not sense what happened later. His mind was already immersed in the aura of Hongmeng on the way back. In the past 6 months, he had only made a little progress. In the space of the Hongmeng domain, he had captured a few minute energy changes, but that was all. These changes were minute changes that occurred in every inch of space. According to the cultivation experience left behind by the 5th Grand Elder, Chen Hao knew that it was the remnant Tao marks of the chaos of Hongmeng. This was the key to comprehending the Hongmeng aura. When one's comprehension reached a certain level, they would be able to see the process of Hongmeng's chaos evolving into the mysteries of heaven and earth, yin and yang, and space-time from the remnant Tao marks in every inch of space. From there, one would be able to comprehend the mysteries of Hongmeng aura. 10 years, I should be able to. After returning to the palace where the divine ability was condensed, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and once again entered a deeper level of comprehension. Comprehending the Hongmeng aura in 10 years was simply a fantasy for most cultivators. An ordinary great perfection Daluo Golden Wonderland cultivator would take thousands or even tens of thousands of years in the Hongmeng domain to be able to comprehend the Hongmeng aura. Very few could even spend hundreds of thousands of years or even their entire lives to achieve it. Even a monster like Zhou Qinglong would need hundreds or even thousands of years to comprehend the Hongmeng aura. If other cultivators knew that Chen Hao wanted to comprehend the Hongmeng aura in 10 years, it would undoubtedly be a fantasy. However, Chen Hao was confident. Not only himself, but Zhou Qinglong and other people who deeply understood how abnormal Chen Hao was also thought that it was possible. This had already been mentioned in the previous conversation between Zhou Qinglong and Yin Xian and the others. In fact, for true geniuses, comprehending the Hongmeng aura was the most basic thing. Obtaining the Great World imprint and condensing the embryonic form of the Great World in one's mind to the limit was the truly long process. Otherwise, Zhou Qinglong and the other 8 monsters would not have been trapped in the Hongmeng domain for at least thousands of years. Of course, this was also the reason why they had high expectations for the embryonic form of their Great World. Otherwise, as long as they completed the final step of the embryonic form of their Great World, they would be able to trigger divine punishment and step into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Hongmeng Great Thousand Domains, Immortal Scripture City. The new batch of 1,000 genius disciples who had passed the final competition had already excitedly arrived at the entrance of the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land in the City Lord's mansion, waiting for the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land to open. On the other side of the City Lord's mansion, at the entrance of the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land, there was no one else other than one of the projections of the controller. The decennial Immortal Scripture Sacred Land was about to open. Those who were qualified to enter would enter, and those who were supposed to leave would leave. The Immortal Scripture Sacred Land is open. When the controller's voice resounded in the void, a fluctuation that seemed to connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths suddenly erupted. The 1,000 cultivators immediately flew toward the entrance with excitement in their hearts. At this moment, at the entrance of the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land, figures who were sitting cross-legged and surrounded by endless immortal light came out one after another. The first figure to come out was the Chaos Academy's youngest top 100 monster, Huang Tianhua. The moment he came out, he looked around and frowned slightly. He secretly made a puzzled sound, as if he was very surprised that he was the first to come out. But immediately after, he said to himself, "It's normal to be first. After all, this is not my first time here." When people came out of the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land, they would come out from the cultivators who had entered the deepest level. Whoever came out first would prove that they had entered the deepest level. Huang Tianhua originally did not think that he would be first. After all, Li Mubai, this outsider, was really too terrifying. He could even accurately grasp the Immortal Scripture Dharma treasures. After entering the Immortal Scripture Sacred Land, his comprehension would definitely be very abnormal. Even if it was his first time here, he might not be able to compete with him. First update. Please, everyone with the support of the monthly votes, Mount Wu. Thank you. Chapter 1029. However, he is not as monstrous as I thought. Huang Tianhua smiled and thought to himself. Miss Ruan, second? When the second figure appeared, Huang Tianhua's eyes widened in surprise. It was Nguyen Tan Lan's first time entering the sacred land of the Immortal Scriptures. She had 3 magic treasures of the Immortal Scriptures, so it was not strange for her to be one step behind him. However, the strange thing was, how could she have entered a deeper level than Li Mubai? Chi. Then, one figure after another appeared. Huang Tianhua's brows gradually furrowed, and he thought to himself, so he should be the first to come out and was sent away by the controller. The moment Nguyen Tan Lan appeared, she looked around but did not see the figure she was looking for. Immediately, Nguyen Tan Lan looked at the controller's shadow, who was standing in the void and watching them. Her expression suddenly became sad and dejected. Sure enough, the moment she entered the sacred land of the Immortal Scriptures was the last time she saw him. She knew that he had been sent away by the controller. However, Nguyen Tan Lan and Huang Tianhua did not expect that Chen Hao had not just come out before them, but had left more than 3 years ago. My first time, 33rd level, my talent and potential, because of him, has reached the level of the top monstrous in the vast 1,000 worlds? There's hope, there must be hope. I will work harder. Nguyen Tan Lan clenched her fists tightly, and her dejected eyes instantly bloomed with a bright light again. She wanted very much to step into the Hongmeng domain, where she might be able to see Qianhao again. However, she could not do so. To go there, she needed the controller's permission. Nguyen Tan Lan could not resist such special treatment. Then, the only way was to improve herself. In the vast chaotic space, a miniature aircraft quickly shuttled through the terrifying energy storm. This flight had been going on in the chaotic space for a full 10,000 years, and no one knew when it would end. Now, they were completely lost. "Master, where are you?" "It's been 10,000 years." In the aircraft, a man at the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland with a powerful aura stared at the vast space on the display and muttered to himself. "It's been 10,000 years. If we had known, we wouldn't have come out. Perhaps Master would have returned to the vast universe galaxy." A humanoid youth with green scales all over his body said. "That's right. Chaotic space, millions of galaxies. We were too naive." A young man with a pitch-black body said in a muffled voice. He seemed to be carrying a pot lid on his back. "It's all my fault. I'm sorry. If I didn't insist, everyone wouldn't have been lost in this vast chaotic space. My calculation ability is completely unable to reach that level. If it's not possible, let's go back and enter the spatial storm again. I should be able to calculate our return route. Are you sure?" "I'm 50% sure. If we continue like this, our chances will become smaller and smaller, and we'll never have any hope of seeing Master again unless Master comes to us." "Let's go back." The only humanoid youth seemed to have made up his mind after a moment of contemplation and said resolutely, "Beep, beep, beep, beep." However, at this moment, an emergency alarm sounded. "There's a life aura approaching quickly. It's 100 times faster than us." Life aura. In the past 10,000 years, other than the increasingly terrifying space storm that constantly put them on the verge of death, they had never encountered any life. At this moment, while everyone was shocked, they were more excited. If there was a life aura, it meant that they had met a cultivator. If they met a cultivator, they might be able to enter the vast thousand domains. Although they might be destroyed by the other party, it was better than continuing to wander aimlessly and being buried in the space storm at any time. This aircraft was Wuxia No. 1. It was the first aircraft that Qianhao condensed that fused technology and supernatural powers. It was also the strongest aircraft after continuous modifications. At the same time, it was also the first aircraft that gave birth to intelligence. These youths, who looked completely human, were the combination of Ito Ta and Guanu. Ito Ta's soul and Guanu's body. The others were the 5 divine beasts: Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Qilin. The virtual shadow, Tiny Tot, was the intelligence of Xiaoji No. 1. Fuse with Xiaoji immediately. If something happens to me, don't worry about me and don't come out. Even if my soul collapses, don't care. Do you understand? Idota said in a deep voice. Xiaoji, which gave birth to intelligence, was the combination of technology and supernatural powers. It had the ability to conceal life aura. Once the 5 divine beasts fused with Xiaoji, they would become a part of the aircraft, increasing the aircraft's ability by countless times. This was also the result of their exploration in the past 10,000 years, when they had experienced countless life and death situations in the space storm. Idota, don't talk nonsense. Our speed is faster than that of the Supreme Masters in Hongmeng. The person who is coming is 100 times faster than us. I'm afraid it's a Tao-cutting immortal. It's not clear whether it's a blessing or a curse. Master is not here, and I'm the boss. Obey the order. Idota said firmly. Then be careful. Hiss. The 5 divine beasts did not continue arguing. They were all descendants of ancient divine beasts, and in the current era, they had become subordinates of human cultivators. Therefore, only Idota could step forward. Xiaoji, display the lowest level of obedience. Don't show any intelligence. Disintegrate your intelligence for now. Understood? It really is a miniature aircraft. A figure that seemed to be traveling through time and space suddenly appeared in front of Xiaoji number 1. There was a hint of excitement on his face as he opened his hand, and endless immortal light was about to bind the aircraft. At this moment, the cabin door of the aircraft suddenly opened. "Grandpa True Immortal, you can't do this. This kid will kowtow to you." What surprised the old man was that the moment the cabin door opened, a young man who was obviously very young but had already reached the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. His aura was much stronger than most grand heavenly immortals, and he had a look of shock, admiration, and excitement. The only thing he did not show was fear, and he immediately knelt before the old man, knocking his head on the floor of the aircraft's cabin. The old man immediately stopped what he was doing. When he sensed the aircraft, he had concluded that it was not an elite. After all, if he was as strong as he was, why would he use a flying treasure with such speed? He only wanted to capture the low-level cultivator and find the information he wanted. Second update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1030. Stop, boy, you're just from the Daluo Golden Wonderland. What are you doing in the depths of this chaotic space? Why are you so excited to see the old man? The old man frowned and asked. This old man was a true immortal. Since the owner of the aircraft had come out, there was no need for him to attack directly. With his strength, everything was under his control. This young man was a rare genius. Why did he kneel down and look so excited? This aroused his doubts. "Grandpa True Immortal, I didn't want to do this. If I could go back, I would have gone back long ago," Ito Taka said with a pitiful look, still kneeling on the ground. "What do you mean? It's a long story. 10,000 years ago, I entered the chaotic space to seek Tao. I didn't expect to encounter a terrifying space storm. Although I was lucky enough to survive, I was lost in the vast chaotic space and could no longer find my way back. 10,000 years have passed since then. I'm naturally very happy to see you, Grandpa True Immortal. I only hope that Grandpa True Immortal can give me a way out and take me back to the vast thousand domains. I'm willing to be a cow, a horse, or a slave." Ito Taka knelt on the ground and said sincerely. After drifting for 10,000 years, Ito Ta finally met a super expert who was obviously at the true immortal realm. Even if Ito Ta used his but to think, he knew that the possibility of this old man being a true immortal from the vast universe galaxy in the ancient chaos universe was very slim. But no matter what, as long as he could enter the vast thousand domains, it would be better than continuing to drift in the chaotic space. At least, he would have a chance to advance to the Hongmeng realm after entering the vast thousand domains. After 10,000 years in the chaotic space and countless life and death situations, he had already reached the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. According to the bloodline inheritance memories of the 5 ancient divine beasts, if he wanted to advance to the Hongmeng realm, he had to enter the special space with the Hongmeng Qi and the Great World Seed. This special space existed in every vast thousand domains. This was undoubtedly the best choice. When they were searching for Chen Hao's footprints, they did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. In the vast chaotic space, the deeper they went, the more they realized how small they were. This was not something the chaotic space around the ancient chaos Great Thousand Domains could compare to. They could only make plans after they had improved their realm and strength. Otherwise, he would have been buried in this chaotic space at an unknown time. 10,000 years. You're just a Daluo Jinxian. You've been drifting in the depths of the chaotic space for 10,000 years on such a tiny flying machine. You're really lucky. When the old man heard Ito Ta's words, he was surprised. Immediately after, his eyes flashed imperceptibly and he asked, "What's the name of the great wide world that you're in?" "The Great Thousand World I'm from is called the Ancient Chaos Great Thousand World. It has 10 galaxies and 9 races. I'm a human cultivator. My surname is Ting Tai, and my name is Ting Tai." The inherited memories of the 5 ancient divine beasts allowed him to know that in the endless star river, there were many vast thousand worlds that could not be interacted with. In particular, some of the weaker vast thousand worlds did not dare to be known by outsiders. However, he did not lie. He was just a small fry and had not reached the level of having a headache over the ancient chaos world. Improving himself and finding his master were the things he should be thinking about. Ancient chaos, great thousand world? 10 galaxies? However, what surprised Ito-ta was that after hearing his words, the old man showed an extremely shocked expression. Grandpa True Immortal, you're from the same vast thousand world as me? That's great. Grandpa True Immortal, please send me back. Thank you very much. Old man is not from the ancient chaos great thousand world. You're a human cultivator. So, you're from the vast universe galaxy? Ito-ta was surprised. Then, do you know Yilan? Yilan. Ito-ta frowned, surprised and puzzled. He seemed to be thinking, how could he not know Yilan? It was just that this guy didn't have anything else, but he had the potential to be an evil person. He was 100% shrewd. The other party obviously knew Yilan. In the vast universe galaxy, there were countless people with the name Yilan. However, there was only one Yilan that could be called out by a true immortal. This shocked Ito-ta. However, before the old man made clear his relationship with Yilan clear, he would not take a stand. Old man said so. You may not know. Hundreds of billions of years ago, it's too long. Even the old man can't remember the specific year. At that time, he had just cut his path, and so did the old man. We met in the great world of Xiandi. Plus, it's a pity. The old man seemed to be lost in his memories. He shook his head and looked at Ito-ta again. Now, with his talent, he may be a true immortal king. Have you heard of him? Grandpa True Immortal? You're talking about the strongest master in our vast universe galaxy. I'll kowtow to you. Bang, bang. Ito-ta had only said a few words, but he was so excited that he started to kowtow. However, at this moment, the old man sent out a wisp of energy and stopped him. He said, Old man won't hurt you. There's no need to do this. I can be considered half a disciple of our master. Grandpa True Immortal, since you're an old friend of our master, how can I not kowtow to you? Ito-ta changed his tone and called himself a disciple. Grandpa True Immortal's position is unclear. I don't dare to talk nonsense. Ito-ta was sweating profusely. He wiped his face and said in fear and trepidation, You're smart. Tell me, how can you be considered half a disciple of Yilan? This disciple's big brother, who is also this disciple's master, received the controller's true teachings and can be considered the controller's disciple. Everything this disciple has learned was taught by my big brother. Therefore, I can be considered half a disciple of the controller. When Ito-ta felt that the old man and Yilan were not enemies, he immediately shamelessly tried to get close to them. How could Chen Hao have received the true teachings of Yilan? He only received some pointers before the battle. He was far from being a true disciple. As for his claim of being half a disciple, it was even more baseless. Yilan had never even seen him before. It was a question whether or not Yilan knew of his existence. I see, Grandpa True Immortal, can you send me back? Ancient Chaos World. Based on the friendship between Old Man and Brother Yi, I should send you back. However, if you want to go back, Old Man can help you. However, I can't send you back because no one dares to go near the Ancient Chaos World. If it's not the Ancient Chaos World, Old Man can send you back. You're just a Daluo Golden Wonderland. Why do you want to go into the depths of the chaotic space alone? Don't you know that if you go beyond a certain distance, your connection with the ancient chaos world will be cut off? Daluo Jingxian, once he entered the chaotic space and flew beyond a certain distance, he would be lost and would never be able to find his way back. Ito-ta, Xiaoji, and the 5 mythological beasts had been flying for 10,000 years. Although their speed was 100 times slower than this old man, they had long lost their connection with the ancient chaos world. If this old man wanted to help them, it would take a long time. Moreover, the ancient chaos world was a forbidden place. Third update, begging for monthly votes. Continue Wushan, please everyone. Chapter 1031. I knew it was dangerous, but I didn't expect it to be so dangerous. I didn't think too much when I was looking for my master. Big Brother? You mean Brother Ye's disciple? He also entered the depths of the chaotic space? Yes, when Big Brother ascended to the golden celestial of the great all-embracing heaven, he triggered the golden scale dragon transformation. At the last moment of the heavenly punishment, he unfortunately collapsed. However, the controllers said that he did not collapse, but entered the nirvana of his true self. The contract between me and Big Brother also proved that Big Brother is still alive. Therefore, I entered the chaotic space to find Big Brother. What's nirvana? The old man frowned slightly. He didn't understand with his cultivation level. He was very clear about nirvana, but he didn't understand nirvana. I don't understand either. I only know that it's one of the controller's strongest techniques. Golden scale dragon transformation, true self-nirvana. Looks like Brother Yi is much stronger than I imagined. Your disciple is also much stronger than this old man. Brat, you are really bold. Even Brother Yi didn't come out to look for him. How could you find him? Alright, I'll send you back. The old man can't. However, he can send you to a place. When you break through to the Hongmeng realm, you'll be able to teleport back to the Great Thousand Primordial Chaos world. Fortunately, I met you. Otherwise, the old man would have wasted many years here. Come in. Buzz. As the old man spoke, a crystal light suddenly shone from between his eyebrows, enveloping Itoterra and the aircraft. Then they disappeared into the chaotic space. It's been hundreds of billions of years, Brother Yi. If you didn't show mercy back then, I would have died in the great world of Xiandi. Today, I'll consider it as repaying your kindness. Sigh, what a pity, the old man shook his head. Yi Lan, a cultivator from the Great Thousand Primordial Chaos world, was of the same generation as him. They had both stepped into the great world of Xiandi after cutting Dao. Yi Lan's talent was among the top even in the great world of Xiandi. Unfortunately, recalling the past, he couldn't help but sigh and sympathize with Yi Lan. However, who could change it? On the path to the peak of martial arts, one wrong step could mean eternal damnation. It was also because of Yi Lan that a great change occurred in the ancient chaos Great Thousand Worlds. The great world of Xiandi was a killer move. The forbidden grounds were meant to be protected. Or rather, it could be considered a form of compensation. After the old man left the great world of Xiandi, he did not know the specifics. He only knew that if it wasn't for what happened back then, Yi Lan might not just be a true immortal king. After the old man sighed, he suddenly rushed in a certain direction. At the same time, he sent out several terrifying divine senses, which directly penetrated the endless space storm. This old man was none other than the head of the Hunyuan sect, the Great Thousand Ancient Chaos World. Without a doubt, the Tao marks of the Milky Way tunnel that they discovered were most likely related to the Great Thousand Ancient Chaos World. As for who the so-called immortal opportunity was, it was not something that he could predict. However, there was one thing he was sure of. It was very likely that it was caused by an expert approaching the ancient chaos Great Thousand World. This old man was none other than the first Grand Elder of the Hunyuan sect. When they discovered the Tao marks of the Milky Way tunnel, the sect master of the Hunyuan sect had sent him and the second Grand Elder to lead 10 elders into the remaining Tao marks of the Milky Way tunnel to explore the situation. Now that several years had passed, the remaining Tao marks of the Milky Way tunnel had disappeared several months ago. They had split up to search for the Great Thousand Worlds nearby. Even if the Great Thousand Worlds were near where the Tao marks of the Milky Way tunnel had disappeared, it was definitely not something that could be found in a short period of time. It was possible that it would take hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. However, they did not expect to meet Ito Ta in this chaotic space. They also learned that the Great Thousand Worlds that existed in this chaotic space was the ancient chaos Great Thousand World that was listed as a forbidden ground by the current ruler of the great world of Xiandi. There was karma in the unseen world. The most mysterious long river of fate in the world was unfathomable, but it was like an invisible hand at all times, controlling countless living beings and even all living things in the world. This is the great world in the mind of a Tao severing true immortal? After Ito Ta appeared in the great world in the mind of the great elder of the Hunyuan sect, his eyes widened in shock. The majestic and pure heaven and earth's spiritual qi and the endless Tao laws were too powerful. This was not something that Qianhao's great world in the mind could compare with. Ito Ta, there is no need to be surprised. It is fate that the old man met you. This is a cultivation environment that was deliberately created for you. When the old man returns to our chaotic Great Thousand World, he will directly send you to the Hongmeng domain. Although your aura is very strong, there are countless old guys who have been immersed in the Hongmeng domain for hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. There are also the most monstrous genius disciples of our chaotic Great Thousand World. It is still very dangerous. And you are alone. If you die there, it will be a pity. Therefore, during this period of time, you should cultivate with all your strength. Time is limited. The old man will not let you appear in the chaotic Great Thousand World. Thank you, Grandpa True Immortal. You are welcome. The old man owes Brother Yi a favor. Helping you like this is just a small matter. But, you have to promise the old man that after you enter the Hongmeng domain, unless someone wants to kill you, you cannot kill the cultivators of our chaotic Great Thousand World. I understand. When you comprehend the Hongmeng Qi, get the prototype of the Great World, trigger the divine punishment, and successfully step into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, there will be 2 star river tunnels. You can naturally sense which one is from your chaotic Great Thousand World. The other is the Great World of Xiandi. Don't make a mistake. Otherwise, even if you are talented, you will have a slim chance of survival. Because you are from ancient chaos, Ito Ta said with tears of gratitude. He really met a benefactor when he went out. Ito Ta did not have any doubts about the old man's words. What was the Great World of Xiandi? He did not know at all. But he knew that after he was promoted to the Supreme of Hongmeng, he was only a small Hongmeng. The vast universe galaxy was the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. There were very few who could come back alive after stepping out of the chaotic Great Thousand World. The only regret in his heart was that he could not find his boss in 10,000 years. The subtle connection between the 5 divine beasts, him, and Xiaoji had with their master had completely disappeared after experiencing several space storms. It was fortunate that they did not die, not to mention finding Qianhao. However, these fellows didn't know that the master they were bitterly searching for was currently in the primordial domain that they intended to head to. At the same time, he who was in the great world of the first Grand Elder's mind, and the 5 divine beasts, who had retracted everything and merged into Little Wisdom One, could not have imagined that if they were outside, they would be able to sense a familiar aura, an aura that would absolutely make them ecstatic. The remnant aura of the Star River Tunnel. The aura of a calm god. 4th update, Wuxian continues, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1032. Whether it was Ito Tai or the 5 divine beasts, they were all trained by the old god, so how could they not be familiar with the aura of the old god? When Qianhao's original body appeared in front of the residual Tao marks of the Demon Abyss Star River Tunnel in the body of Li Mubai, he sensed that the Star River Tunnel contained the aura of the old god, and it was very strong. Originally, before seeing the residual Tao marks of the Star River Tunnel, Qianhao thought that the old god, the guardian of the genuine immortal magic treasure, had collapsed with his collapse and returned to nothingness. It would take some time for the old god to condense his spiritual wisdom. However, after sensing the aura of the Star River Tunnel, Qianhao knew that the old god must still be fine. The Star River Tunnel must have been opened by the old god and the genuine immortal magic treasure. At that time, Qianhao wanted to rush in because of this reason. The residual Tao marks of the Star River Tunnel might be his only hope to go back, but he was too weak at that time, and he was still very weak now, so he could not resist the arrangement of fate. He had participated in the contest for the Immortal Scripture Holy Land and been recognized by the Immortal Scripture City Master, the highest existence in the vast Thousand Chaos world, as a life source that was not from the vast Thousand Chaos world. Then, he had been sent to the primordial chaos domain. Everything that had happened was beyond his control. But Qianhao believed that the old god could not disappear forever. Since the Star River Tunnel contained his aura, then when Qianhao collapsed, the old god did not collapse. The biggest possibility was that when he opened the Star River Tunnel for himself, he exhausted all the energy of the genuine immortal magic treasure and its guardian, the old god, so they fell silent in the depths of his mind and could not be recovered for the time being. Ito Tai, who was moved to tears, did not hesitate to immerse himself in the thick and pure heaven and earth spirit chi and endless Tao laws, and began to comprehend and cultivate. In the chaotic space, they had drifted for 10,000 years. Countless chaotic space storms had nearly caused them to perish. This had undoubtedly caused Ito Tai's strength to rise to an astonishing level. In particular, his state of mind and will were incomparable to when he was in the vast universe galaxy. More importantly, his soul and the physical body that could barely be regarded as a possession were now completely compatible, without any flaws. Similarly, for 10,000 years, Itoda and the 5 mythological beasts were constantly on the edge. At this moment, Yi Futian was lucky enough to meet the Grand Elder and enter the absolute safe space of the Grand Elder's mind world. Endless pure energy of heaven and earth circled around Yi Futian, allowing him to cultivate and comprehend. It felt as if he had suddenly entered heaven from hell. It was simply too comfortable. What a guy! The speed of refining energy is actually so fast? Not long after, the great Supreme Elder thought to himself in surprise. That's right. This kid has been wandering in the depths of the chaotic space for tens of thousands of years, swallowing and refining the most violent energy in the world all the time. It's hard for his refining ability not to be strong. Now that the old man is providing him with pure energy, his refining speed is naturally 100 times faster. This was indeed the case. At this moment, it was as if Ito Ta, who had been eating stones, had suddenly turned into fine grains. How could he not be fast? What? His comprehension ability is also so strong? After a period of time, the first Grand Elder was shocked again. He did not hold back the Tao laws that he had condensed around Itoda. After all, he owed Yi Lan his life, and it was almost impossible for him to repay him in his lifetime. Now that he had met half of Yi Lan's disciple and sent him to the Hongming domain, it would be inexcusable if he died prematurely. Moreover, he knew very well that a true celestial king like Yi Lan might not even care about his divine ability and supreme technique. Therefore, there was no need to hold back at all. However, at this moment, what surprised him was that the aura of the 3 great celestial sutras contained in his Tao laws allowed Itoda to comprehend at an astonishing speed. Genius, a true monstrous genius. This guy who can't even be considered half of Brother Ye's disciple is already so monstrous. Then, won't Brother Ye's disciple be comparable to Brother Yi in the past? What a pity! If only old man had such a disciple. The great Supreme Elder sighed emotionally. However, he could only think about it. Outsiders were not allowed to exist in any other vast thousand realms except the great world of Shendi. However, the great Supreme Elder did not know that Itoda's quick comprehension of the 3 great celestial sutras was completely due to his master, Chen Hao, the outline of the great Tao. Even though he was ignorant and did not understand it at all, he had heard it countless times in Chen Hao's great world in his mind. He had more or less been greatly affected. Similarly, the great Supreme Elder did not know that in the short few years he had spent in the Milky Way tunnel, the Hunyuan sect had changed because of Li Mubai or Chen Hao. Needless to say, when Tan Lan, even Zhang Chong and Sidu Qian, who had fought with Chen Hao, had obtained celestial sutras. This Hongmeng domain in the palace. Chen Hao was sitting cross-legged, emitting a dense aura around him. The light was illusory and seemed to fluctuate along with Chen Hao's long breaths. The energy particles of heaven and earth that could not be seen with the naked eye seemed to be evolving some kind of ancient mystery, and it was gradually becoming clearer and clearer. Hongmeng Qi. When this happened, it was the 9th year after Chen Hao's battle with the 9 great evildoers. When the 10th year of the duel was about to arrive, the mystery of Hongmeng Qi was already clearly visible, and Chen Hao's mind could grasp it at any time. As for Chen Hao, because he had comprehended the mysteries of Grand Miss Qi, his body, soul, essence, energy, and true essence had undergone an imperceptible transformation. Although not a single one of them had become stronger, when he activated them, they had become even more harmonious, giving off a feeling of complete unity from the inside out. This was the change brought about by comprehending the Hongmeng Qi. It was like returning to one's natural state, breaking yin and yang, destroying heaven and earth, shattering time and space, and returning to the chaotic state of Hongmeng. Of course, it was not done, it was just a kind of artistic conception. But it was this kind of artistic conception that could greatly increase a cultivator's combat power. Phew, time's up. Fortunately, I've perfectly achieved my goal. Chen Hao slowly opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his handsome face. I hope the 10 of them can also make astonishing improvements. Buzz. Chen Hao had just finished speaking when his body suddenly trembled, and he disappeared from the spot. Even the palace that he had condensed from his divine power nomological laws disappeared into thin air. There was no need for him to return here. After comprehending the Hongmeng Qi, he needed to use the fastest speed to find the Great World imprint and condense the prototype of a great world in his mind that truly belonged to him. Chen Hao was looking forward to seeing what would happen to him, who already had a great world in his mind. Time's up. Limubai. No, your real name should be Chen Hao. In 10 years, unless you've comprehended the Hongmeng Qi, otherwise. Yin Xian suddenly transformed into a streak of light and disappeared from the cultivation ground. I'm so scared. Should I not go or should I not go? Or should I definitely not go? Boo. I'm a loyal person, I can't just leave them be. Boo, I'd better go. At most, I'll be devoured by little white, oh little Hao Hao. He won't destroy me, right? Zhou Qinglong touched his face and walked back and forth. After hesitating for a long time, he finally chose to go. 5th update, can I cast a monthly vote? Thank you. Chapter 1033. The battle between the 9 great monsters and Li Mubai is today. Let's go and take a look. We have to take a look. Let's go. Some cultivators who had already known about today's battle had set off even earlier than Chen Hao, the 9 great monsters, and Xianxia. To be precise, there were not many people in the entire Hongmeng domain who did not know about the battle between the 9 great monsters and Li Mubai. In fact, after the previous battle, the news brought by Dao Yi from the Chaos Academy had spread in a small area. Not long after, a few years after the sacred land of the Immortals Sutra reopened, many cultivators who had just entered the Hongmeng domain had mentioned the super monster, the outsider Li Mubai. Even those who did not know the truth now knew who the 9 great monsters were fighting with. Chen Hao shuttled through the void like a bolt of lightning. Even before he arrived at the location of the battle, his powerful soul perception had already sensed the auras of countless cultivators. Furthermore, he had also heard a lot of discussions. What made him frown slightly was that Li Mubai's name had unexpectedly appeared at an extremely high frequency, becoming the topic of discussion for many cultivators. I was careless. The battle in 10 years ended more than 6 years ago at the sacred land of the Immortals Sutra. Almost everyone guessed that I would be exiled to the Hongmeng domain after the sacred land of the Immortals Sutra ended. These people have already guessed that it was me, let alone the 9 great monsters. However, they should come, right? Chen Hao thought to himself. After experiencing 2 battles, as long as the 9 great monsters and Xianxia were not stupid, they would be able to tell that he had no ill intentions and was purely trying to learn from each other. Of course, even if he had any ill intentions, he did not reveal them. Moreover, he mainly wanted to devour some of Zhou Qinglong's energy. It doesn't matter. If they come, I'll fight. If they don't, then forget it. I'll go directly to find the Great World Mark. Chen Hao suddenly sped up again. He did not feel too conflicted. Devouring some of Zhou Qinglong's energy was no longer that important at this point in time. This was because he realized that the life source energy of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree had been slowly transforming toward Zhou Qinglong's life force purity. Although the speed was slower, it would not take many years for it to be comparable to Zhou Qinglong's. Clearly, the little bit that it had devoured last time was like a seed of awakening, causing the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree to evolve. Buzz. Li Mubai. It's Li Mubai. When Chen Hao's descent slowly as a great world mark on the battlefield, The great world mark the great monster's name was world heavens in the immortal ancient great monsters. The great monster's name is great monster to the immortals names to gods. He so powerful. This aura is so much stronger than when he was in the sacred land of the Immortal Sutra. Senior brother Zhao, senior brother Dao, brought news to the 9 great evildoers a few years ago, saying that Li Mubai had already arrived in the Hongmeng domain. However, at that time, it was said that he had entered the sacred land of the Immortal Scripture. However, at that time, the sacred land of the Immortal Scripture had only opened for less than 7 years. How could he have come out? I'm not sure either. Perhaps it's the aura of an outsider that was forcefully sent out by the Immortal Sutra Holy Land. Even the controller and the Immortal Sutra Holy Land wouldn't dare to kill such an outsider. In the vast galaxy and countless sectors, there's still a huge gap between our chaotic sector and the top sectors. It's coming. Chi. Just as the cultivators were discussing Li Mubai and the 9 geniuses, 10 figures with brilliant immortal lights and terrifying auras were flying toward them at high speed. Based on their auras alone, everyone knew that they were the 9 monsters and Yin Xian's Dao partner, Xianxia. The 10 of them had arrived together. At this moment, Chen Hao, who had just arrived and was sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak with his eyes closed, slowly opened his eyes. "What? Little White, is it really you? I missed you so much. You've been lying to me for so long. Why didn't you tell me earlier that you're Little White, Little Hao Hao?" The moment Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others landed on the mountain peak, he hid behind Yin Xian in a hilarious manner. He stuck out his buttocks, stretched out one hand, and tugged at Yin Xian's Dao robe with the other, revealing only his head as he chattered to Chen Hao. "Isn't it the same whether I tell you or not? You don't have to be afraid of me. If I wanted to devour you, you wouldn't have been able to escape from the first battle. I'm only sparring with you to train myself," Chen Hao said indifferently as he slowly stood up and swept his gaze across the crowd. He went straight to the point and did not beat around the bush. It also gave Zhou Qinglong, who was obviously timid, a reassurance pill. "You're so annoying. If you want to devour my energy, just tell me. It's not like I won't give it to you as long as you don't swallow me whole. Is that so? Since you said so, I won't hold back. Of course, I won't devour your energy for free. I'll exchange part of the mantra of the Great 5 Elements art with you." Hey, Little Hao Hao, are you serious?" Zhou Qinglong immediately revealed an excited expression. The Great 5 Elements art was a legendary ultimate technique. It had appeared in the chaotic boundless world before, but it had not been passed down until now. It was a supreme technique that ranked in the top 10 among the 3,000 great Dao. Not to mention Zhou Qinglong, even Yin Xian, Xiang Tiange, and the others were shocked. If Zhou Qinglong obtained the Great 5 Elements art, his weakest attack would definitely have a shocking breakthrough. At that time, he would definitely become the undisputed number 1 among them. Of course, the Great 5 Elements art contains the 5 great ultimate arts: the Greenwood Imperial art, the Skyfire Great Solar Fist, the Platinum Sky Splitting Slash, the Black Water Sovereign Palm, and the Earth Collapsing Mountain art. If you cultivate it, the Greenwood Imperial art will undoubtedly become one of your ultimate moves. I will use the Greenwood Imperial art to exchange for your energy, Chen Hao said casually. "Brotherly? No, I should call you Brother Chen, right? Look, do I have anything you're interested in? If there's anything you like, I'm willing to exchange it for the Heavenly Fire Fist." When Yin Xian heard about the Heavenly Fire Fist, the Fire Lotus celestial seal between his eyebrows suddenly became brighter. He could not help but stare at Chen Hao. "What about me? I'm willing to exchange it for the Platinum Sky-Splitting Slash." Xiang Tiange could not help but say. Although he used a spear, there was no doubt that the Platinum Sky-Splitting Slash was the most suitable for him. As long as it was integrated into his spear technique, it would definitely become fiercer and more violent. The Great 5 Elements art, in fact, was a way to use elemental energy. It was not limited to the types of divine weapons. Me, Brother Chen, look at me. As long as I have something you want, you can take it. I only want the Blackwater Palm. I want the mountain crushing technique. First update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1034. What Chen Hao did not expect was that the 9 great monsters actually patted their chests and came over, excitedly promoting themselves. Was this necessary? Wasn't it just the Great 5 Elements art? Although Chen Hao had said that the 5 Elements art contained in the Great 5 Elements art and only used the Greenwood Emperor art to exchange with Zhou Qinglong, he had the intention of getting more points. However, he did not expect that these people would react so strongly and impatiently. However, Chen Hao was a typical example of a well-fed man not knowing the suffering of a starving man. The legendary Great 5 Elements art, not to mention the 9 great monsters, even a Dao-severing perfected immortal expert would be tempted. One only needed to look at the excited and envious expressions of the surrounding cultivators who were watching them from afar to prove it. To put it bluntly, if Chen Hao had not been judged by the immortal scripture city controller to be a top expert who had fallen into the endless cycle of reincarnation and came from a more powerful greater 1,000 domains, they might have asked him for the Great 5 Elements art, the Great Teleportation art, and other lost techniques when they were in the immortal scripture city. Sorry, I'm not interested in men. Chen Hao could not help but tease when he saw that everyone was about to offer themselves to him. Xianxia, who was about to promote herself, immediately blushed when she heard Chen Hao's words and shut her mouth obediently. If she said the same thing again, wouldn't it be different? Ahem. At this time, Yin Xian and the others also realized that they were too excited and coughed awkwardly. I haven't finished talking yet. What are you all so excited about? Little Hao Hao, it seems that you're still the most interested in me, hee. How about this? I'll let you devour me to my weakest state once when I'm at my peak. I'll let you devour me 5 times and you'll impart the Great 5 Elements art to us. You have so many powerful abilities and lost techniques, you don't care about this one. Don't you think so? According to the master, although the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree is more powerful and of a higher grade, there's still a gap between them in terms of life essence. If you devour it one more time, it'll evolve faster and become more advanced. Don't worry, I won't keep it. Is that all right? 10 times. Don't come over. Just talk. Chen Hao said directly. Seeing that Zhou Qinglong was about to come to his side, he hurriedly reached out his hand to stop him. You're so annoying. 10. All right, 10 times it is. Ugh, pervert. Upon hearing Zhou Qinglong's words, Yin Xian and the others looked at Zhou Qinglong in surprise and gratitude. Even they did not expect Sissy to be so righteous. Swallowing 10 times sounded simple, but they were well aware that Zhou Qinglong's energy was not like Zhen Yuan, which could be restored to its peak state without tempering. Every time his energy was depleted, it meant that he was heavily injured. What was being consumed was his true life, his lifespan. Although Zhou Qinglong's lifespan was much longer than any of them, which cultivator would complain about having a long life? It's fine. With my talent and potential, I'll never run out of lifespan before I become a true celestial king. Little Hao Hao, are we still fighting? Zhou Qinglong changed the topic nonchalantly. Chen Hao, on the other hand, frowned slightly. From the expressions of Yin Xian and the others, he realized that devouring Zhou Qinglong was not as simple as he had thought. What he would lose was his lifespan. This also changed Chen Hao's impression of Zhou Qinglong and the 8 great monsters. Deep in his heart, the most precious feeling was touched. Brother, do you really have to walk the path of the great Tao alone? Chen Hao stared at Zhou Qinglong, but his gaze was wandering beyond the void, crossing the endless river of stars. He thought of his younger brother Chen Nan, the first person who had truly followed him into the world of cultivation, Moue. He thought of Yang Fan, Li Feng, and I Jian Pain, Huyan Aoba, the first king, and the others. He thought of Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others. These were all his brothers, but none of them had been able to stay with him for long. Along the way, he had constantly moved forward, gradually leaving them behind. The only ones who had stayed with him for the longest were Itoda and the 5 divine beasts, but now they had all been left behind. As of now, Chen Hao had completely sealed away a portion of the great world of his mind and given it to his second anima. However, The faith power he had received in the past made him understand that his brothers were all closely following in his footsteps. They were working hard, risking their lives, but in the end, they had gradually drifted further and further away. He had not given up on his brothers, and he also cherished this relationship. But now, was there really no other choice? No. It's because I haven't done enough. When Chen Hao's gaze fell on Zhou Qinglong and the others again, he muttered in his heart. The 9 great evildoers had stepped into the Hongmeng domain at least 10,000 years apart. But now, was it really true that they had not tempered the embryonic form of the great world to their limits? Definitely not. But no one had been the first to trigger divine punishment and ascend to Hongmeng. Let the battle begin. This time, I will devour the energy you used during the battle. Ah? Does it count as 1 time? Count it as 10 times. Boom. After Chen Hao finished speaking, Zhou Qinglong and the others looked on in confusion. The aura around his body suddenly began to surge violently. With a whoosh, he took the lead to rise into the void and threw out a punch. Everyone did not understand why Chen Hao was just in a daze and said that it would count as 10 times. When they saw Chen Hao suddenly unleash a terrifying attack, they did not have time to think. One by one, they violently activated their energy and charged forward. The battle that represented the pinnacle of the Daluo golden wonderland of the vast thousand worlds had finally erupted. In an instant, a terrifying tremor of heaven and earth spread out in all directions with Chen Hao, the 9 great evildoers, and Xia Na as the core. This terrifying wave swept through the world in an instant, and the cultivators within a radius of billions of miles could feel the wave coming from here. Chen Hao still did not use any powerful divine skills, but his entire person was completely immersed in the Hongmeng Qi. This abstruse concept of perfection brought about by this mystery, and every movement of his contained his own Tao. From being undistracted to being without thoughts. Buzz. Hundreds of millions of miles away in the Hongmeng domain, which was also the region where the new cultivators were most likely to appear, the space suddenly shook, and a miniature aircraft that concealed all its aura appeared in the void. Hiss 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 hiss, Hongmeng domain. This is the Hongmeng domain that one must enter to ascend to Hongmeng. Ito Kenta said excitedly. Phew, I can finally come out. Ito Kenta, we are really lucky. You are having a great time, cultivating in the mind of a true immortal for a few years. The 5 divine beasts came out of the aircraft and said enviously. Second update, please check if you have any monthly votes. Please vote for Wushan. Thank you. Wushan continues. Chapter 1035. Fuck, are you guys jealous of me? I risked my life in exchange for it. Don't release your auras for the time being. Senior Zhuozuan said that we came here alone, and it's very likely that some old farts will target us. Moreover, I promised him that I won't kill the practitioners of the vast thousand worlds unless it's absolutely necessary. Therefore, we'd better conceal our aura and go deep into the vast thousand worlds to find a secluded place to meditate. Zhuozuan was the name of the Grand Elder of the Hunyuan sect. When they entered the Hongmeng domain, the Grand Elder told Itoda about him and asked him to convey his greetings to Yilan. Understood. The 5 divine beasts, who had awakened their inherited memories, replied. They knew very well how dangerous a space like the Hongmeng domain was in the vast thousand worlds. Even without the Grand Elder's reminder, they would have kept a low profile, not to mention that they had promised him that they wouldn't kill the cultivators of the vast thousand worlds unless it was absolutely necessary. Beep beep beep. 834. 2 million miles away, there are terrifying energy waves and countless life auras. It seems like there are experts fighting. There are millions of spectators. At this moment, Little Wisdom number 1 suddenly said, Such a long distance. How can the waves of a battle be transmitted here? Itoda and the 5 divine beasts released their divine senses and passed through the flying device. They were surprised. What powerful cultivators! This vast thousand worlds is probably much more powerful than our ancient chaos world. Do you want to go and take a look? Of course. Top experts are fighting and countless cultivators are watching. This is the safest place. Let's go. Let's see the experts of the vast thousand worlds. At least we can be mentally prepared. The flying device used a combination of technology and supernatural powers to conceal its aura and left quickly. Itoda and the others didn't know what was waiting for them in front of them. They didn't expect that after wandering for thousands of years, they still had to work hard to return to the ancient chaos Great Thousand World. Because of their curiosity, there would be an incredible reversal. Fate, opportunity, the mysterious long river of fate, unfathomable, the cycle of cause and effect, the involvement of fate, caused many coincidences, there were good and bad, and it didn't change with human will. But this time, it was undoubtedly a good thing. In fact, if not for the fact that Qianhao had gone through the nirvana of the true self and that all the mysteries of the contract had been placed on the second life, or that Qianhao had not completely sealed a part of the macro world in his mind to the second life, cutting off all connections and allowing it to develop and grow on its own, Itoda, the 5 mythological beasts, and small wisdom no. One would have felt the subtle connection of the contract the moment they entered the Hongmeng domain. The distance of hundreds of millions of li and the fact that they were in the same space was not a problem for them, who were already in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. But it was also because of the above reasons that the following encounter gave them a huge surprise. However, to some people, explode. Bang! In the fierce battle, the 9 great evildoers and Xianxia, who didn't feel any psychological pressure, bloomed with unimaginable strength and cooperation. Zhou Qinglong was a human meat shield. In today's battle, every time he helped Wuxia, Xianxia, and the others out of trouble, the energy that burst out of his body was terrifying to the extreme. He spared no expense. This sissy, damn pervert. Although he didn't know why Qianhao had changed the 10 times to 1 time during the battle, he knew that since he had agreed on 10 times, he had to be a man and give what he had to give. At the very least, he had to do his best. Therefore, every time he exploded, he deliberately released as much of his life essence as possible for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree that had extended from Qianhao's glabella to devour. Of course, there was another advantage to doing this, and that was that the threat to Qianhao was greater. It also made the dangerous and difficult battle a little stronger. Without any distractions, Qianhao, who was fighting with everyone in the state of thoughtless tranquility, felt tremendous pressure. But he still adhered to the same strength and fighting style, honing his own Tao. At the peak of martial arts, no matter how strong the unique skills were, they belonged to others. Only one's own Tao truly belonged to oneself. The earlier one honed his Tao, the better. Now, Qianhao could only use this method to hone his Tao. Otherwise, if he used a powerful ultimate move, although the 9 great evildoers were strong, the meaning of training would become very small. It would directly turn into a life and death battle. Too strong. Not to mention becoming Li Mubai, I would be satisfied if I could become one of the 9 great evildoers or Xianxia's 10. Are you dreaming? In the entire vast thousand chaotic world, there have only been a few evildoers in 1,000,000 years. Any one of them can kill an ordinary Supreme Hongmeng in a second. If they become a Supreme Hongmeng, how terrifying would they be? Li Mubai and Zhou Qinglong are really terrifying. Zhou Qinglong is an immortal monster. The power of his physical body explosion is enough to kill a supreme late-stage Hongmeng master, but Li Mubai can still withstand it. Now Li Mubai is at a disadvantage, but he doesn't use any powerful unique skills. He seems to be fighting instinctively. The practitioners who were watching from afar were all very excited and discussed enthusiastically with their partners around them. The battle became more and more dangerous and fierce. Qianhao and the 10 great evildoers were wounded, but no one chose to retreat. Even though they knew that it was not a life and death battle, they did not want to give up this rare opportunity to learn from each other. This might be their last time. Because Qianhao had already comprehended Hongmeng Qi, he must enter the most dangerous place in the Hongmeng domain to look for the macro world mark. How many years it would take to get it was not determined by talent. The most important thing was luck. Moreover, after getting the macro world mark, Qianhao must go into seclusion to refine and fuse with it, condensing his own macro universe prototype. Perhaps, when Xianhao did all this, they would have already left the Hongmeng domain. A silent stream of light, as fast as lightning, did not attract anyone's attention. When it was about 100 million miles away, Ito Taichi and the 5 divine beasts stepped out of the aircraft. Phew! What a strong fluctuation, I want to fight. Damn it. I can only endure it. It's good to watch. Boom, boom, boom. They had not seen a single cultivator in 10,000 years. When they advanced from the heaven celestial stage to the perfection of the almighty celestial stage, their only opponent was the spatial storm. Returning to a world with cultivators, even if they were chased and spanked every day, made them excited. Third update, Wuxian continues to write, begging for monthly votes. Please everyone. Chapter 1036. The dense crowd of onlookers, who were millions of miles away from Qianhao and the top 10 experts, were concentrating on this battle that represented the pinnacle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. They did not pay attention to the aura behind them, but at this time, they were suddenly shocked. 6 extremely powerful auras were already less than 1,000,000 miles behind them. What surprised them even more was that among these 6 auras, one was extremely powerful, and the other 5 were even more magical. They turned out to be the legendary body of a single attribute, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, which was extremely pure. This kind of body was very rare, but it belonged to the type of chicken ribs. Especially for cultivators, it had a lot of limitations. It was much more difficult to promote to a higher realm than ordinary cultivators, and there might not be one in hundreds of millions of people. Now there were 5 of them, which happened to make up the 5 elements. What was even more strange was that the aura of these 5 bodies of a single attribute was very terrifying. Who is so powerful? Many people nearby turned around to look at the 6 people who were quickly approaching. At this time, Ito Ta and the 5 mythological beasts had to slow down. Although they were very excited to see so many cultivators, they couldn't act too exaggeratedly as they were about to enter the sensing range and the crowd of onlookers. We seem to be very eye-catching? Azure Dragon stroked his long blue hair and said proudly, "These guys are not very strong." Vermilion Bird, who had long red hair and an extremely coquettish appearance, was like a proud peacock, exuding a fiery red crystal light. Yes, why do I feel that they are very weak?" Black Tortoise said in a simple and honest voice. Although the turtle shell was completely hidden, its back was arched, like a hunchbacked teenager. "It's not that they are weak, it's that we are strong." Although we did not find the boss in the 10,000 years of travel in the chaotic space, we have been through countless life and death situations, and the improvement of our combat power and potential is absolutely amazing. Ito Ta said heroically. His gaze, which was several tens of thousands of li away, scanned the faces of the cultivators one by one. When he saw beautiful women, he couldn't help but reveal a hint of greed. However, it was only a thought. Ever since he followed Qianhao, his master, he no longer had the chance to do anything. He also didn't dare to run amok. However, let's not be too complacent. The fluctuations of the battle are so terrible. They should be the genius masters of the chaotic universe. They can make such a big noise, so they are definitely stronger than us. Itoda continued. 1. While speaking, Itoda and the 5 god beasts' perception finally captured the core of the fluctuation that was 7 to 8 million miles away from them. So strong. Just as the 6 of them were overwhelmed with shock, they suddenly cried out in surprise at the same time. Then, they looked at each other without saying a word. However, their eyes grew bigger and bigger, and their expressions grew more and more excited. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. It's definitely Master. As they got closer, their senses became clearer and clearer. Although they still couldn't see the appearance of the 2 sides of the battle, the familiar fluctuations of the origin allowed Ito Ta and the 5 mythological beasts to make an extremely certain judgment almost at the same time. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the blood of the man and the 5 mythological beasts was boiling and burning. 10,000 years of pursuit, 10,000 years of expectation, 10,000 years of life and death crisis? For what? For Master. They thought that they would have to return to the chaotic universe with regrets and wait for Master's return. However, they didn't expect to sense Master's origin aura here. How could they not be excited? Almost in an instant, the man and the 5 mythological beasts forgot their promise to the great Supreme Elder that they wouldn't attack easily. They directly bloomed a terrible fighting intent, and the energy around them erupted like a volcano. Itota's roar resounded through the world. Suddenly, like a bomb, he tore the sky and rushed to the core of the battle fluctuations. At the same time, the 5 mythological beasts didn't care whether they were in human form or not. They completely bloomed and transformed into their original forms. In an instant, the huge ancient mythological beasts appeared, covering the sky and the sun. The terrible pressure of the ancient ferocious beasts directly swept through the world and pressed in all directions. For the cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland, the distance of millions of miles was only a moment. For the powerful Daluo Jinxian like Itota and the 5 mythological beasts, it was even more so in an instant. When they were still close, Itota and the 5 mythological beasts condensed the strongest offensive and defensive formation that they had honed in countless life and death situations in the chaotic space. With Itota as the core and the 5 mythological beasts as the foundation, the 5 purest 5 elements energy in the world directly poured into Itota's body and activated the great 5 elements art. Master. Itota almost howled. Because he was too excited, his trembling voice cut through the sky like rolling thunder. You dare to touch our master, die. What? Chen Hao, who was immersed in the state of thoughtless tranquility and comprehending the combination of Hongmeng Qi and his own Tao, suddenly widened his eyes and looked into the distance when Itota called out his master. When he saw the huge body of Itota and the 5 mythological beasts, he couldn't believe his eyes and was stunned for a moment. Is this possible? Is this a dream? When Itota said, die, he violently punched out several times, each punch causing the space to collapse, and attacked Zhou Qinglong and the others who were also a little stunned. Sensing the vast and terrifying energy and the profound meaning of the great 5 elements art, Chen Hao's handsome face flashed with an extremely excited look and hurriedly stopped him. Stop. Be careful. Zhou Qinglong's sissy voice also disappeared. Suddenly, a terrifying green light bloomed, and 9 rays of green light appeared, as fast as lightning, between Yin Xian and Itota's attack, which contained the profound meaning of the great 5 elements art. At this moment, their battle with Chen Hao was coming to an end. Whether it was the consumption of energy or the injuries to their bodies and minds, they had reached the end of their strength. How could they withstand the angry attack of Itota and the 5 mythological beasts, who were in their peak state, and launched by the great 5 elements art? Chen Hao, who was pleasantly surprised, had to take action at this moment. Suddenly, he pointed 10 fingers, and 10 streamers cut through the sky to meet the great 5 elements art that Ito Taichi and the 5 mythological beasts attacked the 10 people. Rumble. In the terrible explosion, Itota and the 5 mythological beasts were a little dumbfounded. How could their master help the enemy? It's just that they had already launched the attack with all their strength, and it was impossible for them to stop. They just had to withdraw their mind control and let them lose the source of the attack. 4th update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1037. Fuck. What kind of person are you? You're taking advantage of my perilous state. Even though Chen Hao had forcibly used the Great 5 Elements technique to block the terrifying energy explosion, it was still too close to the 10 people. The power of the explosion directly sent the 10 people, who were at the end of their rope, flying backwards. Fortunately, without the control of divine telekinesis, it did not have any specific destructive power. Zhou Qinglong, that freak, was completely fine. The other 9 people were only slightly injured. But without a doubt, being reduced to such a sorry state with a single move caused the 10 of them to lose face, and they couldn't help but curse angrily, Chi. Bang, 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 bang. Itota and the 5 mythological beasts didn't even look at them. It was as if they didn't hear their curses. They directly turned into flowing lights and appeared in front of Chen Hao with excited expressions. They didn't allow Chen Hao, who had almost exhausted his energy and was very weak, to forcibly gather energy to cast the Great Five Elements art, to stop them. They bowed and knelt in front of Chen Hao. The 5 divine beasts even transformed into their human forms. The 6 of them had tears of excitement in their eyes. After calling out, "Master," they could no longer speak. Chen Hao's eyes sparkled as well. He opened his arms and hugged the 5 divine beasts in a circle. At this moment, the space suddenly shook, and a miniature aircraft appeared silently. Immediately, the hatch opened, and a little guy completely condensed from energy left the cabin and flew toward Chen Hao. Woo 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 woo. After 10,000 years, little wisdom one's intelligence had matured. Its tender voice was filled with emotion as it cried and burrowed into Chen Hao's arms. "You? How did you find this place?" Forcibly suppressing the excitement in his heart, Chen Hao looked at Ito Taro. They actually found their way here. At that instant, the 9 geniuses and the others were astounded. He felt a strong sense of unease in his heart. Li Mubai, or rather, Chen Hao, was an outsider. Everyone present knew that. Although they all knew that Chen Hao had descended to their vast thousand chaotic world through the endless samsara, it was still shocking that such a demonic person was found here by the young man who seemed to be his servant and the 5 ancient divine beasts. This meant that Chen Hao's original Greater Thousand World could find him in the Hongmeng Greater Thousand World. What did that mean? At this moment, all the cultivators perked up their ears. The area within a radius of several million miles was terrifyingly quiet. Zhou Qinglong and the others even held their breaths. People, in front of their own interests, most of the time, would not consider the greater good because it did not affect them at all. What did it have to do with them? However, at this moment, everyone present felt a sense of crisis from the bottom of their hearts. Outsiders could find their way here. This could very well mean a confrontation between the 2 greater worlds. And their vast thousand chaotic world would definitely be at a disadvantage. "Master? Not long after your collapse, we entered the chaotic space. We thought that with the connection of the contract with you, we might have a chance to find you. Unexpectedly, after 10,000 years, not only did we not find you, but we were also lost in the chaotic space. Fortunately, we met a genuine immortal from the vast thousand chaotic world. Coincidentally, he knew Senior Yilan. In order to send us back, he sent us to the Hongmeng domain. I didn't expect to meet you here, Master." Idota was also a smart person. Naturally, he sensed that the atmosphere had suddenly become extremely strange. Therefore, although he was excited, he explained the situation truthfully and briefly. 10,000 years. 10,000 years. 10,000 galaxies. So much time has passed. You don't know about Xiaonan? Xiaonan? Master, what happened to Xiaonan? Idota asked in surprise. "Let's go, we'll talk later." Chi. Chen Hao's mind moved, and Idota, the 5 divine beasts, small wisdom number 1, and the miniature aircraft directly turned into streams of light and entered between his eyebrows. Immediately, Chen Hao looked at the 9 geniuses and finally, his eyes fell on Zhou Qinglong. He said, "Brother Zhou, thank you for your energy. This is the mantra of the Great 5 Elements art. How much you can comprehend depends on yourselves." Chi. Immediately, 10 streams of crystal light shot out from between Chen Hao's eyebrows and floated in front of the 10 geniuses. "What your servant said, is it true?" The 10 geniuses did not answer for the time being. Yin Xian looked at Chen Hao seriously and asked, "It's false. You can't resist. What's the difference between true and false? He's just Daluo Jingxian, and he doesn't have the ability to travel the galaxy. How can you say that it's false? Let's part ways here. If possible." At this point, Chen Hao suddenly stopped and began to transmit his voice. Zhou Qinglong and the others were slightly surprised at first. Then, they looked at Chen Hao and nodded cautiously, with excitement and amazement on their faces. At this time, 10 streams of crystal light shone from between Chen Hao's eyebrows again. Although the onlookers did not know what Chen Hao said to the 10 geniuses, When they sensed the aura of the 10 streams of crystal light, they were all shocked. The aura of the Immortal Sutra. Although the energy was very weak, the mystery of the Immortal Sutra was so strong that it was not something that anyone present could comprehend. Thank you, Brother Chen. In the future, we will definitely enter the Immortal Emperor's macro world. Maybe, Chen Hao smiled slightly. His figure gradually faded, and then he disappeared silently in front of the crowd. Thank you. Yin Xian stared at the place where Chen Hao disappeared and said in a low voice. Ooh, little Hao, I can't bear to part with you. Anyway, my prototype macro world has already been completed. When you are all done, call me again. I'll go play in the depths of the Hongmeng domain. Goodbye. Zhou Qinglong shot out a stream of crystal light from his mind and directly wrapped the 2 streams of crystal light from Chen Hao. After entering between his eyebrows, he was about to leave. Wait, if that's the case, why don't we help him find the macro world imprint? I have no objection. Anyway, my macro world is going to be completed. Let's go, then let's go together. The 9 geniuses and Sienna had no objection. Although they knew that it might take them hundreds of years, or even thousands of years, they felt that it was right. Otherwise, they would feel guilty. The Great 5 Elements technique didn't count for much. It was originally a deal that had been agreed upon. However, the crystal radiance that Chen Hao passed on to them truly shocked them and made them feel ashamed to accept it. They had always thought that they had overestimated Chen Hao, but they did not expect him to be much more terrifying than they had imagined. It was also at this time that they vaguely guessed why Chen Hao could come out of the Immortal Sutra sacred land so early. Chen Hao himself did not know why he could come out of the Immortal Sutra sacred land early, but they could guess. 5th update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1038. What kind of concept was the 246th level of the Immortal Sutra sacred land? Chen Hao did not know what the highest level of the Immortal Sutra sacred land was, but the 9 great monsters knew. The current ruler of the Immortal Sutra city had only comprehended a little more than 100 points. But Chen Hao had actually comprehended 246th level. Moreover, he had only entrusted them with a small matter, and he had passed on the profound mysteries of the Immortal Sutra that he had comprehended through the fusion of the profound mysteries and Tao marks into memory crystals. They knew very well that if he wanted their help for a small matter, he would definitely have some concerns, but it was more of an excuse. This was a reward for the entire chaotic boundless world. It was just that he had chosen them. A good man who is affectionate and loyal. Sienna only held Yin Xian's hand and murmured, "Unfortunately, he doesn't belong here. Fate is shallow, it's a pity. We lack a good brother that we can really make friends with. Io, don't be so jealous, okay? Since little Hao entrusted us to take care of him as much as possible, we'll just take care of him. Everything depends on man. Man can conquer nature. Fate is deep but shallow. Don't you think it's too early to say that? We're destined to go to the great world of Xiandi. At most, we'll just pull little Lan Lan along. Didn't you see that little Lan Lan is becoming stronger and stronger? Maybe she won't necessarily be worse than us in the future. Pervert, don't you understand what he means? He asked us not to reveal any information related to him. How much hope can there be in the great world of Xiandi? Why give her hope for something that's impossible? Besides, we've heard some things before. Nguyen Tan Lan is with him for benefits. He's already extremely benevolent to do this. You can't add to the trouble. Bah, what do you mean by adding to the trouble? He's being kind. Everything in the world has karma. This life dissipates, but there's still the next life. We can still meet across thousands of galaxies. Not to mention little Lan Lan, even I don't think that fate is over. Let's go. Everyone was stunned when they heard Zhou Qinglong's words, but they didn't say anything and followed him. No one admitted that Zhou Qinglong was a perverted sissy, but in their hearts, he was undoubtedly the core. Other than the fact that he was a sissy, his eyes would light up whenever he saw beautiful women and handsome men. He would act coquettishly and disgust people to death. However, in every aspect, he had a charm that was worthy of everyone's heart. Who did you meet? Chen Hao, who was rapidly shuttling through the void with the great teleportation technique and heading towards the deepest part of the Hongmeng domain, asked in the macro world in his mind as the manifestation of his consciousness. At this moment, Edo Tai and the 5 mythological beasts, as well as the Phantom of Small Wisdom number 1, were all looking at the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree that seemed to connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths, as well as the spirit spring sea that stretched as far as the eye could see and whose boundaries could not be sensed by their divine sense at all. These 2 developments had already shocked them. What was more shocking was that the heavenly Tao contained in the whole world was many times stronger than before. This was even more shocking than when they had entered the Great Grand Elder's macro world. It was not that Chen Hao's macro world was stronger than the Great Grand Elder's cutting Tao genuine immortals, but that everything here was more suitable for them and made them feel more deeply. Master, we met a cutting Tao genuine immortal of the Hunyuan sect. His name is Zhuhyun, Great Grand Elder? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback and immediately understood. Master, you know him? Yes, after I came to the vast thousand chaotic world, I transformed into a disciple of the Hunyuan sect. It was not a coincidence that you met the Great Grand Elder. When you came here, didn't you sense the aura of the remnant Tao marks in the galaxy tunnel? Remnant Tao marks in the galaxy tunnel? When we met Senior Desk, he took us into the macro world in his mind and deliberately condensed a cultivation environment for me, allowing me to comprehend many powerful Tao laws. You said that he knew Senior Yi Lan. What's that about? He didn't say the details. He only said that when we were in the great world of Xiandi, he owed Controller Yi Lan a life. That's right, at the beginning he asked me which vast thousand world I was from. I said the ancient chaos vast thousand world. He was very surprised when he heard that. Later, he said that the ancient chaos vast thousand world was a forbidden area and no one dared to step into it. It was because of this that he sent us to the Hongmeng domain and asked us to use the galaxy tunnel in the Hongmeng domain to return to the ancient chaos vast thousand world after we broke through to the Hongmeng domain. He also cautioned us not to go to the great world of Xiandi. He said that it was a forbidden area for the practitioners of the ancient chaos vast thousand world. Oh! Chen Hao was slightly surprised. There's such a thing? Did he say the reason? I didn't dare to ask too much. However, although he didn't say it, I feel that it has something to do with Controller Yi Lan. No wonder almost none of the practitioners of the ancient chaos vast thousand world who stepped out could return. Could there be some secret? Chen Hao said with a frown. According to the information he learned in the chaotic vast thousand world, the great world of Xiandi was filled with endless danger for the practitioners of the chaotic vast thousand world. Almost all of them would die there. However, there were people who had been there and returned. Even his master, the 5th Grand Elder, had been there. Moreover, according to the words of the Immortal Sutra Holy Land Controller, it was not that the higher the realm, the safer it was. Instead, it was related to talent. At the same realm, the higher the talent, potential, and combat power, the greater the chance of survival there. According to the judgment of the Immortal Sutra Holy Land Controller, Chen Hao's past was among the top geniuses even in the great world of Xiandi. Just like what Yin Xian and the others had said, they would definitely enter the great world of Xiandi. It was basically certain that they would enter the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and go there. However, in the ancient chaos vast thousand world, Hongmeng Supremacy, not many cutting Tao perfected immortals dared to do so. It should be. Anyway, I feel that Senior Zhua is very respectful to Controller Yi Lan. Even when he spoke to me, he called him Brother Yi. Moreover, he treated me like this naturally because of Controller Yi Lan. At that time, I said that I was half a disciple of Controller Yi Lan. Master, you are his disciple? Itoda scratched his head and said, Don't call me master in the future. Tell me everything that happened to you after I left. Yes, master. Itoda said directly, as if he did not hear Chen Hao telling him not to call him master. He directly activated the light of memory and floated in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao shook his head and did not say anything more. His mind directly merged with Itoda's light of memory. First update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1039. The expansion of the Proud Heavens Association, Yilan teaching everyone the method of condensing faith, Ito Ta, the 5 divine beasts, and small wisdom number 1 leaving, the 10,000 years of wandering in the chaotic space, meeting the Grand Elder Zhuoziun. Chen Hao quietly digested the information, the expression on his face constantly changing as he received the information. Itoda only picked up the important experiences to condense his memories. There were not many things that could be read in an instant, but Chen Hao took a few hours to read them. 10,000 years, Chen Hao finally opened his eyes and murmured. The past cannot be changed, the future cannot be predicted, the only thing that can be grasped is the present. Condense the embryonic form of the great world, that is when we go back. Iota. Yes. I will do my best to help you comprehend the Hongmeng energy, obtain the great world imprint, and condense the embryonic form of the great world. You must use the fastest speed to refine the embryonic form of the great world to perfection. Master, you don't have to worry about me, I am in your mind's great world, there is no problem, just follow you. This time I will follow you back. Ito Ta was slightly surprised, he did not understand what Chen Hao meant. He must have fallen in a place similar to the Hongmeng domain in the ancient chaos-boundless universe. I want to enter, this is the only way. It's all up to you. Chen Hao's eyes shone brightly as he said seriously. Although he had thought that the space-time laws might have changed, he did not expect the change to be so great. 10,000 years had passed in the ancient chaos-boundless universe. The time of Chen Nan's fall was more than 10 years ago. In the ancient chaos-boundless universe, it should be more than 100 years ago. With Chen Nan's talent, he must have advanced to the Daluo Golden Wonderland by that time. Chen Hao was almost certain that Chen Nan had perished in a space similar to the Hongmeng domain. After all, not to mention Chen Nan and the Proud Heavens Association's strength, there was no way Chen Nan could have perished in the vast universe galaxy. If Chen Hao wanted to return to the ancient chaos universe and enter the Hongmeng domain, he could only stay in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Otherwise, stepping into the Hongmeng domain would only open the Milky Way tunnel to step out of the ancient chaos universe. If Ito Tai and the 5 mythological beasts did not come, he could only do that. But now, Chen Hao had changed his mind. This was because he knew that not only was the culprit who killed Chen Nan still in the Hongmeng domain, but his sister Chen Yan was also there. Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and his other brothers should also be there. Moreover, it was very likely that they were in danger. If the Hongmeng domain in the chaotic universe was so dangerous, what about the ancient chaos universe? The ancient chaos universe was controlled by the 10 galaxies. It was a chaotic world. It was definitely more dangerous than the chaotic universe because not only were there bloodthirsty old men who relied on devouring lives, but it was also a battlefield where the cultivators of the 10 galaxies competed and killed each other. Master, will I be too slow? You must have confidence in yourself. Moreover, I will do my best to help you. Okay, I will try my best. But what I want most now is to fight to my heart's content. 10,000 years. I have already reached the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. I am dying of boredom. Okay, I will satisfy you. After Chen Hao finished speaking, the forehead of his main body, which was flying using the great teleportation technique, suddenly flashed, and Itoda stepped out of the great world in his mind. Chen Hao waved his hand and endless celestial light poured down, setting up a powerful seal within a radius of millions of miles. Ito Tai knew that his master was going to trample him personally. After 10,000 years, seeing Chen Hao again, Ito Taka still had the feeling of looking up at a tall mountain. Although he had thought so, after all, he had experienced 10,000 years of life and death crisis. He was more or less surprised by his own improvement. However, the strength of his master still completely covered up this little bit of self-confidence. Only by following my master can I improve the fastest. This was the conclusion that Ito Tai came to. Come on, I will control my strength to be the same as yours and be your training partner. Also, not only do you have to fight, but you also have to understand the mysteries of my various powers. I will integrate the mysteries of the Hongmeng Qi into it. This will help you to understand it without any delay. Okay, Master, take this. Boom. The battle began immediately. Itotai could feel his master's anxiety. Therefore, he had to do his best to advance to the Hongmeng Qi as soon as possible. After the two of them had been fighting for a full hour, Chen Hao suddenly frowned slightly in the middle of the battle. Swoosh! A strand of his spiritual sense suddenly floated out and formed an external avatar outside his seal. Oh, little Hao Hao, your speed is really fast. Fortunately, you stopped. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to catch up with you. Is there anything else? Chen Hao looked at Zhou Qinglong and asked. Nothing. Can I look for you? Little Hao Hao, the few of us will help you find the Great World Mark. Perhaps it will be faster. Give us a strand of your primordial soul so that we can contact you. Zhou Qinglong said as he looked at Chen Hao coquettishly. Although Chen Hao's impression of this guy had changed completely, he still felt uncomfortable when he saw this. However, Chen Hao only hesitated for a moment before he nodded and replied, "Thank you very much." Chen Hao directly sent out a strand of his primordial soul and handed it to Zhou Qinglong. Chen Hao was in a hurry. He could not wait to return immediately. At this moment, Zhou Qinglong and the others would help him find the Great World Mark. It would undoubtedly save him a lot of time. Especially now that he still had to help Itotai comprehend the Hongmeng Qi, he needed it even more. Chen Hao had no reason to refuse his good intentions. You're welcome. I'm willing to do something for you. I'll take my leave first. Goodbye, little Hao Hao, Qi. After Zhou Qinglong finished speaking, he left in a flash. Before he left, he glanced at the figures fighting in the seal, and a trace of regret flashed in his eyes. It was obvious that Chen Hao was training his servant. It was a pity that someone who treated his servant so well was not fated to be with him. After receiving Zhou Qinglong's news, Yin Xian and the others split up and entered the depths of the Hongmeng domain to search for the Great World Mark for Chen Hao. Although they all wanted to immerse themselves in comprehending and cultivating the Great Five Elements art, especially the Immortal Sutra's profundities that had more than 100 levels more than the controller, they temporarily suppressed this desire. Although more than 200 levels of the Immortal Sutra's profundities had been comprehended and condensed by Chen Hao, it had an unimaginable historical significance to them and even the entire chaotic vast thousand world. Chapter 1040. Because of the uniqueness of the immortal scripture Holy Land, only the Daluo Golden Wonderland could enter. Since ancient times, including the previous rulers of the immortal scripture city, the highest number of people who had comprehended the immortal scripture Holy Land had comprehended the immortal scripture Holy Land at most, and they had all comprehended it in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. This meant that in the entire primal chaos Great Thousand World, the various top sects and even the immortal scripture city had at most more than 100 levels of profundities related to the immortal scripture Dao marks. They could comprehend them when they advanced to the primordial realm or higher. But now, with Chen Hao's more than 200 Dao marks of the immortal scripture, even if they could not comprehend it now, they would be able to comprehend it as they advanced in the future. With such a generous gift, what was sacrificing hundreds or even thousands of years for Chen Hao? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. In the blink of an eye, time had passed. In the depths of the Hongmeng domain, a palace condensed from the laws of remarkable abilities was now blooming with endless immortal light. The heaven and earth spirit qi within a radius of millions of miles had unknowingly become several times thicker than the surrounding space. Although all the cultivators who passed by wanted to enter, no one dared to. They all stayed far away, for fear of alarming the outsiders. In the past 30 years, the abnormality here had already spread throughout the Hongmeng domain. But no one knew what had caused the heaven and earth spirit qi within a radius of tens of millions of miles to form a distinct world from the surrounding space. Even the 9 great monsters were slightly surprised when they heard about it. They wanted to go back and take a look, but in order to find the Great World Mark as soon as possible, they restrained themselves. There were too many incredible things about Chen Hao. They could only conclude that Chen Hao of the endless cycle of reincarnation was awakening step by step. He possessed the powerful, remarkable abilities of the endless cycle of reincarnation. No one knew that during these 30 years of time, within the palace that Chen Hao condensed from the laws of his divine ability, a vast and mighty tune of the Tao had always been resounding, and it floated throughout the entire palace. Itoda was sitting in the center of the palace, quietly comprehending the Hongmeng Qi. Chen Hao was very anxious. This was something that he could accomplish in 10 years, but Itoda couldn't do it. Now, he had done everything he could to help, including explaining the mysteries of Hongmeng Qi with Itoda. At this moment, he even helped Itoda enter a state of enlightenment with the help of the Sanskrit of the general outline of the Great Tao. But 30 years had passed, and Ito still hadn't woken up. This also made Chen Hao realize that the difference in talent and comprehension was not something that could be changed by external forces. Chen Hao wished that Itoda was a woman. If it was a woman, through the most primitive and powerful cultivation method of the fusion of yin and yang, it would definitely be much faster. Unfortunately, Ito was too manly. It was useless to capture any woman here. They were not from the ancient chaos world. If not for this, Chen Hao would not have minded having a Tao companion. Just as Chen Hao was trying his best to help Itoda with the lotus flower of speech, there was a sudden fluctuation in his mind. Found it? Chen Hao was slightly surprised. This fluctuation came from the wisp of primordial spirit that he had given to Zhou Qinglong. Finally, it gave Chen Hao a little surprise. It was much better than the weak Itoda. Without any hesitation, Chen Hao summoned his wisp of primordial spirit. In fact, there was no need for him to summon it. Zhou Qinglong and the others already knew where Chen Hao was. It could be said that the strange situation here had already been spread by the cultivators in the Hongmeng domain. Half a month later, Zhou Qinglong and the other 9 monsters, along with Xie Na and the others, came to the place where Chen Hao was. It's really amazing. There is obviously no energy fluctuation or devouring power, but it can make the spiritual qi of heaven and earth within a radius of tens of millions of miles gather by itself and become more than 10 times denser than the surrounding space. Little Hao is really amazing, Buzz. Just as Zhou Qinglong and the others stood tens of millions of miles away and felt the amazing change in the spiritual qi of heaven and earth when they stepped in and out, a shadow of Chen Hao suddenly appeared in front of them. Found it? Chen Hao asked with a hint of surprise. Brother Chen, your luck is really good. Back then, we spent hundreds of years to obtain the Great World imprints. I didn't expect that in just 30 years, the freak and I would each find one at almost the same time. Now there are 2 at once. It's just right for the 2 of you to use. Yin Xian said with a little excitement. He and Zhou Qinglong had found it, but the luck was attributed to Chen Hao. However, to the others, this was very normal. Very good, thank you very much, everyone. Come in. Little Hao, what's with the spiritual qi of heaven and earth? It's so amazing. I'm very curious. You'll know when you come in. It doesn't matter if there's one more or one less. Come in, it should be helpful to all of you. Chen Hao's shadow did not say much and returned to the palace directly. Zhou Qinglong and the others were a little surprised, but they could not wait to follow him. When they entered the palace, they all widened their eyes. Dazzling celestial light, endless Tao laws, the entire space was filled with rainbow-colored lotuses. As Chen Hao opened and closed his mouth, there were still lotuses blooming continuously. Tao sound. It was a Tao sound that was beyond their imagination. Give me the Great World imprints first. You can cultivate here. Chen Hao's real body did not stop, but the shadow said. Zhou Qinglong and Yin Xian took out 2 golden objects that were only the size of a thumb. It was impossible to tell what these objects were made of, but they emitted a vast and majestic aura. They sent them to Chen Hao's shadow. Zhou Qinglong and Yin Xian did not say a word. Like the others, they sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. Chen Hao had expected this, so he did not think much of it. Now, when he used his strongest Tao sound, he would definitely be able to enter a state close to enlightenment in an instant, since they were at the same level. There was no doubt that this would be beneficial to them. But at the same time, it proved that they did not have any psychological defenses against him, because they did not struggle at all and entered a state of cultivation following the aura. Buzz. Chen Hao's shadow took the two great world imprints and directly entered between his eyebrows. However, it was only temporarily absorbed into his mind, and he did not dare to refine it, let alone comprehend it. Come on, we're all waiting for you. Chen Hao thought to himself. 30 years was about 300 years in the ancient chaos vast thousand worlds. Although 300 years was nothing, as he moved forward step by step, Chen Hao became more and more anxious, although he knew that it was useless to be anxious. But with his current state of mind, as long as he thought of Xiao Nan and his sisters who might also be immersed in danger at this moment, he would be burning with anxiety. What nonsense about the great Tao being ruthless? It was all nonsense. Third update. Chapter 1041. 43 years. Phew. Just when Ito Ta had been comprehending for 43 years, he suddenly opened his mouth, took a long breath, and immediately opened his eyes. Master, I finally comprehended it, I finally comprehended it. Buzz. As Ito Ta spoke excitedly, a crystal light flashed between his eyebrows, and in a square inch, the mysterious aura of Hongmeng Qi was clearly evolved. I finally comprehended it. Chen Hao directly took out a great world imprint, floated in front of Ito Ta, and said, "Continue to fuse and condense the embryonic form of the great world." Yes, master. Don't worry, wait. Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Qilin, come out. Buzz. To Ito Ta's surprise, when Chen Hao saw that he was about to start refining, he suddenly stopped him and summoned the 5 divine beasts. Master. From today onwards, you will be Ito Ta's master and fuse with him. Master. Hearing Chen Hao's words, Ito Ta and the 5 divine beasts were shocked at the same time. The 5 divine beasts, the origin of the 5 elements, are the foundation of the great world. If you fuse, Ito Ta's great world prototype will be able to reach its peak state as soon as possible. We don't have much time to wait. The laws of time and space are different. 100 years here is 1,000 years in our great world. Master. Ito Ta, who wanted to refuse, and the 5 divine beasts who were unwilling at this time, chose to obey the order. Buzz. The space shook, and the 5 divine beasts suddenly turned into streamers and fused with Ito Ta again. But this time, different from the authority Chen Hao gave him in the past, the 5 divine beasts will temporarily be transferred to Ito Ta by Chen Hao. It will also become the foundation of the embryonic form of the Ito Ta's great world. Whoosh. When Ito Ta began to refine the great world imprint, Chen Hao directly took out endless top-grade spirit spring water and filled the entire palace. The magnificent sound of the Tao echoed once again. It was only delayed for less than a minute. The 9 great evildoers and Xie Na did not wake up from their cultivation state at all. Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Qilin, you 5 don't need that sour face. I don't need you. Don't worry, Master is only doing this because he's afraid that I won't be able to refine the embryonic form of the big world to its peak state, which will affect my future progress. Itoda, what do you mean? My intention is very simple. Once the refinement is complete, I will trigger the divine punishment and ascend to Hongmeng. 10,000 years of drifting in the chaotic space, countless life and death situations. I believe that passing the heavenly punishment will be easy. As for the embryonic form of the universe, it doesn't matter. Ito Tai was originally just a small fry who did all kinds of evil things for the sake of cultivation. It was a problem for me to even step out of the eastern continent. Now I can be promoted to Daluo Jingxian, and even break through to the Supreme of Hongmeng, because of the Master. I am very satisfied, very satisfied. What's more, even if I can't keep up with the Master's footsteps in the future, at most, I can enjoy the happiness in the Master's mind. It's enough. It's enough. Chen Hao didn't know that after Itoda and the 5 mythological beasts merged into one, he was communicating with the 5 mythological beasts in his mind. How can that be? Since we have promised the Master, We will fully cooperate with you and truly merge with you. No need. You are all descendants of the ancient mythological beasts, and your potential is much higher than mine. If you truly merge with me, it will be a waste. The Master is the best choice for you. Don't blame the Master for giving up on you and helping me. The Master must have thought about how to compensate you in the future. Itoda, what nonsense are you talking about? You can sacrifice for the Master, but we can't? You are enough, but are we not enough? We are indeed the descendants of the ancient mythological beasts, but without the Master, it's also a problem whether we can step out of the Wuji star. We are also enough. Okay, stop talking nonsense. The 6 of us have experienced 10,000 years together, and we have been through life and death together. Perhaps it's best if we can merge into one. To be honest, since the Master got us, there is almost no time when we can really help the Master. With the Master's talent, combat power, and potential, we are not even qualified to be his vassals. Perhaps we will be able to play the greatest role together with Itoda. Only when the 6 of us merge into one can we hope to become the Master's right-hand men. That's right. Let's begin. When the 5 mythological beasts merge, the heaven and earth will appear. The embryonic form of the great world will not be bad. When it is formed, it will be the time when we trigger the divine punishment. The Master is very anxious. Itoda, who was prepared to sacrifice his future, looked at the 5 mythological beasts with complicated feelings and said, "You are all really willing. If you are my brother, then don't talk nonsense." Okay, begin. It won't take much time to refine the great world, Mark, at most 1 year. It will take at most 10 years to form the embryonic form of the great world, but to refine it to the peak state, I'm afraid, a strand of Chen Hao's consciousness pondered. It's fine as long as it's not too bad. If it's like Zhou Qinglong and the others, it'll take tens of thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. Ancient chaos is hundreds of thousands of years. It'll be too late. 100 years. After 100 years, it'll be time to leave. Chen Hao set a deadline for Itoda in his heart. Although he knew that this would inevitably affect Itoda, there was no other way. This was not the time to be indecisive. What's more, with the 5 mythological beasts, it would not be better than Itoda refining it for thousands of years. Chen Hao was very clear about the importance of the 5 mythological beasts to the great world in his mind. The 5 mythological beasts, the birth of heaven and earth, this was something that no cultivator could do. Voila! In the palace filled with the best quality spiritual spring, the sound of Tao filled the air, and the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in the spiritual spring was constantly supplied, connecting with the sea of spiritual spring in Chen Hao's mind. The speed at which Itoda devoured energy became faster and faster with the passage of time. Now, the best quality spiritual spring was almost surging into his glabella. Half a year. You have completed the refining and fusion? Chen Hao was slightly surprised. In this situation, it was obvious that Itoda had begun to condense the embryonic form of the great world. Only at this time could the speed of devouring energy be so fast. Otherwise, with Itoda's strength, with such a devouring method, he would directly explode and die. Very good, the 5 mythological beasts are worthy of being the guardians of heaven and earth. Perhaps after condensing the embryonic form of the great world, they are stronger than I imagined. 4th update. Chapter 1042. In the blink of an eye, 8 years had passed. At this moment, Chen Hao was also immersed in chanting the great Tao Sanskrit and doing his best to assist Edo Tai. In order to save time, not only did he supply a steady stream of top-grade spirit spring water to Edo Tai, but he also carefully perceived the nature, level, quality, characteristics, and other details of the heaven and earth energy in Edo Tai's body. He deliberately refined the heaven and earth energy contained in the spirit spring water to meet Edo Tai's needs as much as possible. Although it was impossible to achieve complete consistency, it could greatly save Edo Tai's refining time. In this way, the embryonic form of the macro world would undoubtedly be formed faster. 100 years, this was the time limit that Chen Hao gave to Edo Tai. He could only do his best to make the embryonic form of the macro world that Ito Tai condensed stronger. However, boom. Voila, chi. What made Xianxia suddenly wake up was that 8 years, including the refining and integration of the macro world mark, was only 8 years. Without any warning, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly soared violently from Ito Tai's body, forcing away the spirit spring water that surrounded him. At the same time, a majestic and pure essence, chi, and spirit soared into the sky. Immortal light bloomed, and Tao laws rolled. Boom. At this moment, the palace formed by Xianxia's magical power was directly pierced through by Ito Tai, triggering the divine punishment. Xianxia looked in surprise at Ito Tai, who did not give him any time to prepare himself, and his eyes widened. Immediately, Xianxia's eyes revealed a touch of emotion. Smart as he was, he almost instantly realized what Ito Tai had done. He acted first and reported later. Obviously, Ito Tai had just condensed the embryonic form of the macro world and triggered the divine punishment to buy time for himself. Moreover, he did not give himself the chance to stop it. Master, come in. Although it's a little shabby, it will be better soon, hee. Ito Tai stood in the void, releasing his essence, chi, and spirit to the best of his ability, and said to Xianxia. Xianxia stared at Ito Tai. After half a minute, he took a deep breath and didn't say a word. He waved his hand and released a stream of energy to reseal the damaged palace. He glanced at the 9 geniuses who were still immersed in enlightenment and directly went into Ito Tai's forehead. There's no need to alarm them. Let's take advantage of the fact that the tribulation clouds haven't formed and go far away. Yes, master. Ito Tai directly turned into a stream of light and quickly flew into the depths. At this time, the void had already begun to fluctuate terrifyingly. The heaven and earth energy also moved with Ito Tai's movement. Master! After Xianxia entered the embryonic form of the great world in Ito Tai's mind, the voices of the 5 mythological beasts directly resounded in it. 8 years, Xianxia muttered. Soon after, a bright light flashed in his eyes as he said, Don't relax. I'll help you refine it before it takes shape. Master, I'm afraid it won't work, right? Only Ito Tai and our soul origins can transform the great world in the mind. Master, you don't have to worry. The 6 of us have 10,000 years of fusion experience, and the fusion is perfect. Although the time is a little short, it won't be too far off from the peak state. I naturally can't help with the foundation, but I can help with the internal environment. You can transform it according to the layout that suits you best. Whoosh. After Xianxia finished speaking, an endless spirit spring gushed out from between his eyebrows. At the same time, endless immortal light and thousands of Tao laws rolled out. What shocked the 5 mythological beasts and Ito Tai, who was controlling everything with his mind, even more was that a fruit shining with majestic vitality and endless mystery entered Ito Tai's simple and narrow great world along with the endless Tao laws. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit. This was originally left by Xianxia for Xianxia. In fact, it had already matured. However, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree had been evolving. Xianxia wanted to give it to Xianxia, who had half of the connate Taoist embryo, when it was stronger. However, Xianxia had plucked it at this moment. Master? Itota's voice became a little choked up as he stood in the void. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit was something that the cultivation world would go crazy over, but his master had given him a servant. Master, I'm not worthy. It's a waste, a real waste. Please put it away, master. If you're not worthy, who is? Split a strand of your mind so the 6 of you can transform it with all your might. Don't waste time. Whether it's the Tao manifestation immortal fruit or the spirit spring, they're nothing in my great world. Take advantage of the fact that they haven't completely taken shape and plant them in the core of your great world. Xianxia said directly as a boundless spirit spring gushed out from between his eyebrows. Due to his personality, Xianxia couldn't express his gratitude. There was no need for him to do so. In the beginning, although Ito Tai had committed all sorts of crimes and been taken in as a soul servant, he had long since gained Xianxia's acknowledgement and treated him like a brother. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed the 5 mythological beasts to train with him alone back then. In order to find him, Itota and the 5 mythological beasts had resolutely stepped into the depths of the chaotic space for 10,000 years. How many life and death situations had they experienced? Now, because he was in a hurry to return, he had given up on condensing the prototype of his great world. This was the foundation of his future strength and realm. What was a Tao manifestation immortal fruit? Seeing that Itota and the 5 mythological beasts still hadn't started, Xianxia said coldly, "This is an order. Execute it." But Itota and the 5 mythological beasts knew that they couldn't change their master's decision. They could only execute it. Otherwise, they would miss the best opportunity. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The terrifying tribulation clouds gathered the energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings at an alarming speed. The range of fluctuations expanded to a terrifying extent. Countless cultivators could sense the terrifying aura of the great heavenly punishment that had advanced to the Hongmeng realm. As countless cultivators gathered to borrow the light to comprehend, the first heavenly punishment that seemed to connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths came crashing down. Looking at the figure that had just arrived in the Hongmeng domain, everyone was filled with horror and shock. This was only Li Mubai's servant. However, the strength of the heavenly punishment was incomparable to that of countless top geniuses when they advanced to the Hongmeng realm. However, Itota had chosen to resist it head-on. Rumble, terrifying tremors of heaven and earth spread across the entire primordial mist domain in hundreds of millions of miles. Buzz. At this moment, even though Xianxia had resealed the palace that he had condensed, he couldn't stop the fluctuations of the heavenly punishment of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. The Tao voice has disappeared. What a powerful fluctuation of the heavenly punishment. Oh no. Whoosh. Zhou Qinglong was the first to awaken from his intoxicated state of enlightenment. What a powerful supreme-grade spirit spring. Wake up. Little Hao Hao is leaving. Huh. Whoosh. Zhou Qinglong's sharp cry penetrated the depths of everyone's soul and instantly awakened Yin Xian and the others from their state of enlightenment. Initially, they were still angry. However, after hearing Zhou Qinglong's words, they immediately jumped up and chased after Zhou Qinglong. They didn't even care about the powerful supreme-grade spirit spring. Chapter 1043. Kachat, Kachat. Rumble, tens of thousands of thunderbolts, like a sea of purgatory, annihilated everything within a radius of millions of miles. The universe was in chaos, heaven and earth were broken, and time and space were distorted. Itota stood proudly in the endless purgatory of thunderbolts, as if he had returned to the chaos before the creation of heaven and earth. This was a vision that would only occur when a cultivator was promoted to the supreme realm of Hongmeng. Itota, who had resisted the heavenly punishment, had a strong physical body, which was beyond the imagination of countless cultivators who were watching from afar. His majestic blood chi was like an abyss. Under the bombardment of tens of thousands of thunderbolts, not only was his body not damaged, but a faint crystal light bloomed from under his skin, as if he had turned into a crystal. What Itota had obtained was Guanu's strong physical body. Now, after thousands of years of tempering in the chaotic space, his physical body was extremely strong. No one knew that at this moment, Itota had even given up comprehending the mystery of the law of heaven in the pressure of the heavenly punishment. He was using the short remaining time of the heavenly punishment to transform the embryonic form of the macro world in his mind. The law of heaven could be comprehended at any time as one's realm improved, but the embryonic form of the macro world, once it was fixed, it would be extremely difficult to change its nature. In fact, for most people, it was impossible. The embryonic form of the macro world was like the combination of building the framework of the macro world. Once it was fully formed, this combination was difficult to change. In the future, with the improvement of one's cultivation and the refinement of the macro world, it could continue to grow and become stronger, but the combination was difficult to change. The stronger it was, the more difficult it was. This was the key reason why all the cultivators would rather stay in the Hongmeng domain for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years to refine the embryonic form of the macro world to its peak state. Li Mubai's servant has only been in the Hongmeng domain for a few decades, but he has comprehended the Hongmeng Qi, obtained the mark of the macro world, and refined it to his peak state? It's obviously impossible. That's why it's so amazing. The heavenly punishment is so strong without refining it to its peak state. If the embryonic form of the macro world is refined for thousands of years, what will it be like? I dare not say anything else, but I'm sure that when the 9 great evildoers reach the Hongmeng domain, they are not necessarily stronger than this person. Where did Li Mubai go? He should still be cultivating. Before we came here, we saw his palace, Qi. Qi. At this moment, a dark green crystal light cut through the void and suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian and the others. What surprised everyone was that Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, Xianxia, Xianxia, and the rest of the 10, under the terrifying pressure of heavenly punishment, were actually approaching the endless thunder core at lightning speed. What are they doing? Don't tell me they're fighting at this time? Little How. Brother Chen. Just as everyone was puzzled, Zhou Qinglong's disgusting voice, as well as the voices of Yin Xian and the others, resounded throughout the world. Even the rumbling of the thunder from the 9th heaven was drowned out. Their voices were filled with emotions of agitation, reluctance, and gratitude. From the time they obtained the Great World Mark until now, although they had only cultivated by Chen Hao's side for about 20 years, they had all entered a powerful state close to enlightenment. The Tao sound of the lotus tongue, the endless supply of the best quality spirit spring, and the convergence of thousands of Tao laws, this kindness was really too great. Helping Chen Hao find the Great World Mark was originally to repay Chen Hao's kindness of giving them the mysteries of the Immortal Sutra and the Great 5 Elements art, but they did not expect that it would become even more owing. At this moment, needless to say, Chen Hao and Itoda were about to leave. From now on, their chances of repaying would become extremely slim. When they first entered the palace, they knew that Chen Hao was doing his best to help Itoda comprehend the Hongmeng Qi. Now that Itoda had triggered heavenly punishment, they knew that Chen Hao was bound to follow his servant back to the vast 1,000 domains that belonged to him, and not the great world of Xiandi. Otherwise, it would not be like this. Before the endless cycle of reincarnation awakened to the peak state before the cycle of reincarnation, when he advanced to the Hongmeng realm, he could not open the Milky Way tunnel to return to the vast 1,000 domains. They knew this very well. Little How, will you go to the great world of Xiandi? Will it be possible for them to meet you? After approaching a certain distance, Zhou Qinglong suddenly stopped and shouted at the thunder core. His voice recovered some of its manliness. Buzz. A shadow suddenly escaped from between Itoda's eyebrows. In the tens of thousands of thunderbolts, it was not affected at all. The great world of Xiandi. Should go. Cultivate well. When we meet again in the future, I hope you are qualified to exchange pointers with me. Brother Chen, we will go to the great world of Xiandi soon. You must go, we will wait for you there. Yin Xian said, I will not return until I become a true immortal king. I believe that we will meet Brother Chen. I hope Brother Chen will not be too late. We will improve very quickly. We have been suppressed for too long. Xianxia said. Little How, can I give you a definite answer? Go. The great world of Xiandi may be the only way to reach the peak of martial arts. Okay, I will wait for you forever. I don't want to be separated from you. Zhou Qinglong, this damn pervert, actually covered his face and started crying like a spoiled child. Chen Hao was speechless. However, Yin Xian and Xianxia did not despise Zhou Qinglong this time. Instead, they hugged him from both sides. Rumble. The terrifying heavenly punishment became stronger and stronger. The aura that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths suddenly became 10 times, 100 times stronger. Okay, we will meet again. Wait. At this moment, Zhou Qinglong suddenly stopped crying and raised his head to look at Chen Hao's projection. Immediately, a jade-green crystal radiance blossomed with incomparably resplendent celestial light between his eyebrows. The moment it appeared, even the terrifying pressure of the heavenly punishment was pushed aside by the crystal radiance. Little How, this is for you. I am not willing to take advantage of others. If I owe you something, I will not be at ease. What? Zhou Qinglong pushed it in front of Chen Hao's projection. Just accept it. Little How, goodbye. Let's go. After Zhou Qinglong finished speaking, he turned into a ray of light and left quickly. Goodbye, Brother Chen. Yin Xian and the others, who were obviously still in shock, cupped their fists at Chen Hao from afar and quickly chased after him. This freak. Chen Hao's projection, who was still in a daze, smiled. With a chi, he took the thing that Zhou Qinglong had given him and disappeared into the embryonic form of the great world in Itota's mind. Although he did not know what it was, the expressions of Yin Xian and the others told him that it was something very important to Zhou Qinglong. Judging from its aura, Chen Hao guessed that it was something that the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree needed the most. First update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1044. Rumble. Itotera and the 5 divine beasts were racing against time. Finally, the moment the prototype of the great world took shape, the moment the 9 levels of heavenly punishment ended, endless Tao and immortal light bloomed from between their eyebrows, along with a weak but pure life force. At this moment, the energy of the great world in his mind surged. The spirit spring and Tao manifestation immortal fruit provided by Chen Hao imitated the appearance of the great world in Chen Hao's mind and merged with his great world in the core. At this moment, the immortal light that connected the 9 heavens and 10 lands enveloped Itota, and he flew away like the sun and disappeared from the Hongmeng domain. In the distance, Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others looked extremely pale and weak. They stared at the vast immortal light until it completely disappeared. Only then did the 10 of them withdraw their gazes and head toward the palace that Chen Hao had left for them. The Galaxy Tunnel. Is this the Galaxy Tunnel? It's amazing. Master, there are two galaxy tunnels. Itota, who had disappeared from the Grand Mist domain, exclaimed excitedly in his mind as he looked at the ancient path in front of him that seemed to connect the boundless galaxies. His body emitted the terrifying aura of a Grand Mist sovereign. A crystal light flashed between Itota's eyebrows, and Chen Hao appeared in front of him. The Galaxy Tunnel. Is this the real Galaxy Tunnel? The 2 tunnels, which were tens of thousands of feet in diameter, were covered with mysterious and ancient runes. The pitch-black walls of the tunnels seemed to be formed by energy, but they also seemed to be made of a special material. They were covered with rune Tao marks and exuded an ancient aura. No one knew how long they had existed. Shocking. Nothing could describe the shock in Chen Hao and Itota's hearts at this moment. At this moment, Chen Hao and Itota both deeply felt their own insignificance, the endless galaxy and the thousands of sectors. What kind of existence could connect the 9 heavens and 10 lands and open up a tunnel that spanned the endless galaxy and existed for eternity? It was unimaginable. This path must lead to the great world of Xiandi. This tunnel must lead to our ancient chaos-boundless world. Itota said excitedly as he sensed the aura of the 2 tunnels. The great world of Xiandi. Chen Hao, who also began to sense the aura of the 2 tunnels, suddenly frowned slightly. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes as he murmured, "Master, what's wrong? Could it be Master wants to go to the great world of Xiandi?" Itota asked in surprise. At this moment, Chen Hao was staring at the passageway to the immortal sovereign great world. He seemed to be very excited, which confused Ito. Could it be? Chen Hao didn't seem to hear Itota's question. His handsome face flashed with a touch of excitement, as if he had thought of something. Although the familiar aura of the galaxy tunnel leading to the great world of Xiandi was very weak and couldn't be compared with the familiar aura of the ancient chaos-boundless world, for Chen Hao, it was undoubtedly a huge surprise. No. The great world of Xiandi welcomes any practitioners from the boundless world to enter. Chen Hao suddenly thought of a question, and immediately looked at Ito Ta and asked, "What do you feel about this tunnel?" Feel? It's a feeling of being summoned. I want to go there. However, it's not as strong as the galaxy tunnel in our ancient chaos boundless world. It's easy to distinguish. Ito Ta pondered for a moment. Although he didn't understand why Chen Hao asked, he still answered truthfully. It seems that I thought too much. Chen Hao's excitement was dampened by Itota's words. He shook his head helplessly and said, "Let's go back." "Yes, master." The two of them stepped out and directly entered the galaxy tunnel leading to the ancient chaos boundless world. Chen Hao, who was a little disappointed, didn't know that Ito Ta's feeling was slightly different from his. However, this difference couldn't be expressed in words, and Chen Hao's feeling was too weak. Ancient chaos boundless world, Shifeng territory. In an area that was originally very remote and had relatively weak worldly energy, the entire space was now filled with a strong smell of blood. Blood, broken limbs, magic treasures, and broken bones could be seen everywhere. The terrifying law marks of Abijna still filled the entire space. Obviously, a great battle had just ended here. Interesting, very interesting. I'm looking forward to it more and more. An extremely young and handsome cultivator with an extremely majestic life force was holding a sword stained with blood. He licked the blood on the sword with a smile on his face as he said lightly, "Interesting, very interesting. I'm looking forward to it more and more. Ha! I feel the same way. It's only been 1,000 years, and we still have time to play with them. The 4 main members are here. Take it slow, little by little. Fuck, take it slow, can you hurry up? I want to fuck them. I can't help it. Ha! I also want it." When Chen Hao returns, I really want to know what kind of expression he will have when he sees that all his women have become our toys. Oh no, it should be the slaves of our soul slaves. I wonder what kind of expression he will have? I'm really looking forward to it. Don't think about it. Not to mention that he may have died. Even if he didn't, he must be lost in the chaotic space. Do you expect him to come back? However, it's really exciting to think about this feeling. He is known as the #1 genius in the ancient chaos boundless world. Fuck the women that he doesn't even want to fuck. It's really something to look forward to. We haven't caught any of them. What's the use of talking nonsense? What's the hurry? All the areas in the 10-direction territory where the macro world imprint may appear have been sealed by the 8 galaxies. They can only comprehend the Hongmeng Qi at best, but we can condense the prototype of the macro world. It won't take long for the gap to widen. At that time, it'll be easy to find their traces, isn't it? The human race. Not just the human race, but the vast universe galaxy. The young man licked the blood on his sword and frowned. Obviously, he was a human, but he was now a member of the tyrant race in the Chaos Galaxy. Oh, sorry. We have killed at least half of the cultivators in the vast universe galaxy, right? I think we should restrain ourselves. Otherwise, when we are almost ready, we won't be able to force them to show up. No need. Just continue to kill. Unless they're on our side, we'll kill them without mercy. They're just ants. The young man raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "That's not good, right? If we kill them all, the 10-direction territory is so vast. Where can we find them? When I condense the prototype of the macro world, I will be able to deduce their whereabouts. None of them can escape. Play slowly, there's no need to rush," the young man said calmly. After finishing the second update yesterday, I knew there would be a problem today. Every time the plot changed, Dark Mountain would stop updating. Last night, I slept for 4 hours and then got up to think and write, delete. I'm done with the second update. Dark Mountain continued. 21 days, I can't die on 22 days. Please support me with monthly votes. Please, everyone. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.